so that I may also say this meeting is being recorded and it is called to order at 7 o'clock. And I am going to share the screen as soon as we always say, please forgive us, even though it's now 2 years in almost, and we're still somewhat learning this process of Zoom, although we've been doing it a while. And I'm going to stop my video so I can do the screen better. All right, so we called the meeting to order at 7 o'clock, and Teresa, if you would not mind, can you please call the roll?
John Arnold.
And I'm so sorry, and Teresa, can you also let 3 people in from the waiting room, because I'm getting a message that they're there, but not a message that I can admit them.
Well, I just tried to let them in. I don't have a, I believe I let them in, Laura, so.
Okay, thank you.
So John Arnold, but John is absent, or he's arriving late. Lizzie Moromisato.
Yes, here.
Sarah Lacey.
Here.
Nancy Cruz. Greg Jackson.
Present.
Chris Carlson. Michael Kimbrough.
Present.
Teresa Masonette is here. Karine Alprecht.
Here.
Dennis is absent. Lolita is absent. Grace.
Here.
Paula. Sarah Long Henry.
Here.
Laura Myers.
I am here.
Carlos Carrick. Paul King.
Here.
Tyler Fife.
Here.
Charlie Papp.
Full Rolodex that I need to get through, so.
Sorry, please mute yourself, whoever that is. Thank you. Charlie is not here yet. Raheem Dawson.
I'm here.
Dolores Spears.
Here.
Dorit.
Here.
And Jasmine.
Here.
Thank you. Okay, we have quorum.
Okay, so I had to undo and I'm redoing the screen share. And thank you very much. So I would like to direct everyone's attention, please, to item 2, a determination to continue to hold meetings virtually. The Board of Neighborhood Commissioners and the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment, with guidance from the LA City Attorney, have established that BONC has the authority to adopt findings pursuant to AB 361 and Government Code 54953E1B through C on behalf of all of us, the neighborhood councils of the city, and make a determination that due to the continuing COVID-19 state of emergency, meeting in person would present imminent risk to the health or safety of attendees. So this meeting is being held pursuant to that directive. The next item on the agenda is actually the approval of the agenda. I'm going to scroll through very quickly for those who haven't seen the agenda yet, and also indicate when we get to item 14. Item 14C is to be tabled. That'd be Council File 220040 to take up at a future time. Okay, so I have scrolled through the entire agenda and made the one motion or part of a motion. So is there are there any other suggested changes, i.e. tabling?
This is Dorit. I don't have a question, but I couldn't find some of the documents on the drive. Maybe I just missed them because there's so many documents, but 10B, the funding request, I couldn't figure out where that could be. It's for $250.
Yeah, I
that-
couldn't, here's the thing, Dorit, we had it somewhere because we've looked at it before and I couldn't find it personally either. But we know Raheem is here and we can upload it later and Raheem can share it now. I mean, the weirdness of the new Brown Act is we can also share a document tonight and immediately afterwards add it to the funding, into the Google Drive.
How about 14A? Same thing?
It's a license. Yeah, there isn't a document for it from
Okay.
ABC, or I should say it a different way. ABC sent a letter with whatever to the council office, but not to us.
So we have nothing to know that what we're talking about then tonight.
We do.
So 14, I don't.
Oh, you don't.
14E? Same thing?
No, that was in there.
Okay, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised I missed something. Alrighty, thank you.
Okay. So all of that said, I'm still scrolling. Is there a motion to approve the agenda with the one change that I mentioned, which is the deletion of, I've already lost it, 14C?
Make a motion that we approve the agenda as presented with the deletion of 14C.
Is there a
Carlson,
second?
second.
Okay.
Chris Carlson, second.
Thank you. Chris Carlson seconds. And we can do this by a show of hands. Either, I'm going to stop the share and start my video. We can do this with a show of hands, either for real, meaning wave, or virtual for board members only, please. Okay. Okay.
I can't find my thing, but my hand is up.
Okie doke. So if everyone could take their hand down so I can see if there is any opposition. So if any opposition, please raise your hand. Okay, motion passes. The next item on the agenda is a very brief discussion of meeting protocols. And I mean very brief. Essentially, we're asking everybody to be courteous. The governing board members of all neighborhood councils throughout the city are required to follow the city's and Bonk's code of conduct and code of civility, I should say. And we're asking that everyone on the meeting do so. This is a very participatory meeting. As you can see, we're using the Zoom meeting format, but I ask that you mute yourself when you're not called upon, and to please raise your hand, either virtual, or if you cannot, either put in the chat that you're having trouble raising your hand, or put on your video and kind of wave frantically and hope we'll see you. Speaking of chat, we do have the chat function enabled. You may chat to everyone, but we prefer that it is only used for those sort of, I'm trying to raise my hand and I can't, please call on me, not for comments of substance about any agenda items that we're talking about. We also use the chat to put in motions. We also sometimes use the chat to post, somebody says, here's a link to the thing I was talking about. Please be aware that because we have the chat on, the chat is now appended to our minutes. So anything that you have put in the chat will be read by the public, next month when we approve the minutes. So, I'm just giving you that heads up. So, and that is it. Please raise your hand when you wish to speak and don't just jump out and speak. Thank you. Next item is public comments and announcements.
Teresa has her hand up.
I'm so sorry, Teresa.
Thank you very much, Dolores and Laura. As you guys may have noticed that our agenda does not have the times on it. for each agenda item. That is a practice that we've done, but last month, we had a little snag, so we have agreed to allow Laura to proceed without the times on this agenda, and we're going to see how we're able to move through all these items. Hopefully, it will not, because we don't have the times, it will not extend the discussion, but I just wanted everyone to know that we are making an exception this time not to have the times.
Right. And I should also say, our standing rules anticipate 5 minutes for presentations and 5 minutes for questions and answers on most items. And there's a few items on the agenda where we've called out some longer estimated times, but we're going to try to adhere to the 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, and max 10 minutes on most of the items. And that's the only timing we have on the agenda. Okay, well, with the exception of the next item, public comments and announcements, 1 minute per person. Sandra.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm wondering where the support and leadership for Jefferson Park is. For several months, I have written letters and brought the issue of Jefferson Park managing the film funds that are generated from movies and or movie crews that park on the south side of Adams to the board's attention. Those funds rightfully belong to the Jefferson Park community. To this day, the board has yet to address the issue. UNNC has 4 mission statements. The first one is to empower and bring together a diverse community to maintain and improve stockholder quality of life, which is lacking in Jefferson Park. Jefferson Park is the largest footprint in UNNC with the most reps, yet no interaction, which results in no leadership, which allows other communities to speak on behalf of Jefferson Park. UNNC has not supported a Jefferson Park event in quite some time. Events which are well attended in this community where there are first-time home buyers who enjoy family-friendly events. The funds generated could be used as a tool to bring our diverse community together, which in turn would improve our quality of life. J. Alwyn wrote, "Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced." So I am again requesting that there be a resolution to this issue, at least start the conversation, which brings me to UNNC's second mission statement.
I'm sorry, Sandra, it is supposed to be 1 minute per person. So if you can conclude.
To work in cooperation with the necessary agencies toward the protection and improvement of our area, effectively addressing the needs and concerns as identified by our community. This is an issue that concerns our community, and we would appreciate your support and cooperation. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm sorry, we're not supposed to answer questions during public comment. Brittany?
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Brittany Liu. I'm a neighbor and community organizer with Redeemer Community Partnership. I just wanted to come back again and share another update that we recently learned about the Murphy drill site located at 2126 West Adams. Just yesterday, we found out that through a routine Cal EPA inspection conducted by the local agency back in December 2021, there was a number of citations issued against the operators that ranged from issues like inaccurate chemical inventory reporting to inadequate site map admissions, as well as inadequate emergency response procedures. I can include a link to the chat that holds more information about these issues. But again, just want to reiterate that this sort of activity just continues to show that neighborhood oil drilling is just fundamentally incompatible with community health and safety. We hope to continue learning and sharing, especially as a public hearing will soon hopefully be scheduled. But for now, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Angela.
Hello, my name is Angela Venegas Murillo. I'm a pediatrician and assistant professor at Charles R. Drew University. I'm also a recent neighbor. I moved to Jefferson Park about 2 years ago, and I'm very concerned about.
Oh, I'm sorry, Angela. You moved around. Go ahead. You're muted. Unmute yourself, please, because I accidentally did that to you.
Okay.
Sorry, was
Okay.
doing something else and went click.
Okay. So where I was is that I'm a new member in your community of Jefferson Park, and I'm really concerned about safety. I live on 27th Street in between Arlington and Fifth Avenue. In the short time that I've been here, we have had homeless encampments in the alley directly behind my home. We've also had to call the police on several occasions for break-ins, trespassing from those same individuals, and have had very poor response. It's been very, very difficult to get a hold of the senior lead officer or to get hold of any community response. Even with through the mayor's office, it's really hard. That has been my experience so far, and that's why I'm here. We have been able to mobilize just with my neighbors to move that encampment. And what has happened is that those individuals are now squatting in a house down the alley and are still entering through the alley and squatting in an abandoned home. And it's been really difficult for us to kind of manage and cope. And I'm really here to try to gain some support and understand how to work through our community council and work with the police and other services to try to help those individuals and also improve the safety of our community. I have a 4-year-old son. We enter the alley a lot to leave for daycare, to go to work, to get home. And I'm not alone. There's a lot of neighbors that are also faced with similar issues in their alleys as well, right? And not alone. Not only that, are we faced with like the safety of walking in our community, going to local parks. And so it's a bigger issue than just my local block, but I'm happy to work with all of you to try to resolve and make it a safer place for all of us.
Okay, thank you, Angela. Can you do two things? One is if you would put the address of the vacant property into the chat. Vacant and abandoned, I assume, not just vacant because it's being renovated. And then two, if you aren't already signed up for our e-blasts, please do, because we do have a public safety and emergency preparedness committee. And if once you're on the e-blast, then you'll have the information to join in on the, that. And I'm also seeing that Lizzie's asking for your email address, but that's up to you as to whether or not you want 27 people to see it. But
No
if
problem.
you don't mind that, that'd be great. Thank you.
Great, thanks.
Okay, is there any other? I have a longish myself public comment, but does there anybody else have a public comment before I have to do the one I'm doing? Okay, so my public comment, Laura Myers, is that we are presumably engaging in some slight administrative changes to our bylaws. But in order to do that, we first have to start out by having in the public comment period some suggested proposals of amendments to the our bylaws. So I have a few. These are things mostly we had talked about previously, but this is for the record. I'm going to propose that we amend Article XIII amendments. It's very convoluted. We should delete the requirement that we can only utilize the public comment period to propose bylaws amendments. We should allow the executive committee to initiate and also permit this process. And the section also does not allow for a special meeting devoted to considering the bylaws. So the proposed change would be that any proposal can be made during the public comment period, or that the executive committee may make proposals for amending the bylaws, and that we may meet at a Brown Act compliant board meeting and not just a regular board meeting. So that's one. Two, the definition of regular board meeting has gotten us into some convoluted trouble with the city attorney. So we should redefine, it's described in section 7, absences, redefine what a regular board meeting is to be either on our regular night or a specially scheduled meeting of the board, not including emergency meetings or other special meetings, for purposes of attendance for board members, along with permitting a special meeting to amend the bylaws. Officers, Article VI, we need to better define the signatories' duties as a financial officer. The current description does not align with the actual duties. Section 3 of officers, selection of officers. There's 2 problems. It says that officers shall be elected at the first meeting of the board following elections, neighborhood council elections, but those are only every other year, but we elect our officers every year. So it doesn't work. And we should also allow for flexibility. We should add or as soon thereafter as is feasible, or better, we should select or elect our officers no later than the August meeting of each year or the September meeting of each year. Again, these are proposals to be voted on. And last but not least, in our current bylaws, the definition of stakeholder does not align within the bylaws document. Article IV2 says a community interest stakeholder is defined as an individual who is a member of or participates in a community organization within the boundaries of the neighborhood council. But Article VB says, describes it instead as a at-large stakeholder representative and lists a great number of things that a at-large or community interest stakeholder might be. So they should align with each other. I am sorry I've taken so much
Point of order,
time.
Madam President. Point of order.
This is what I checked with Don. I had to do this, but I am done. And I will give you the document I was reading from, which is the next thing in the bylaws, then provided to the secretary, and we will schedule it for the next board meeting to discuss. Sorry. So you can see why I want to amend this, so we don't have to do it this way. Thank you.
I'd like to make a public comment, please. If
Sure.
we're talking, if we're able to like throw up bylaw ideas, I want to suggest and I want us to discuss when it's time, the idea of going to a consent agenda instead of the way we currently have the agenda. I'd like that to be noted. So when it is time for us to discuss the bylaws, I will prepare all the information so I can explain what a consent agenda is to the board. Thank you.
Greg, is this and this would be a public comment, not a comment on Dorit's or my comments? Oh, I bet you I know what you're going to say.
You just gave a whole big thing under
Yes.
public comment of way
Yes.
more than a minute. And so you said this is the only way we could give information
No,
about. or
if he has
suggestions,
another
so I gave
idea,
it.
yes, Dorit, if he has he shouldn't, just not to correct either one of us. And I did miss one, Greg, that I think is the one you want to add. Oh, you're muted.
Okay. I don't want to add anything. My concern was the use of public comments, and the information that we just received seemed to be more than just public comment. And if it was something that Dunn has clarified, it would have been good for the executive board to hear about that, because to me, that wasn't a public comment. That was a procedural thing.
Yeah.
That's not the purpose of public comment.
I agree. That's why.
So my point of order would be that perhaps should have been brought to executive board so that we could all be on the same page with that.
Yeah, Greg, I was merely doing what our current bylaw said must be done and commenting in public comment. And I can't agree with you more as to how weird that seems.
But we're debating. I made
I
my
know.
comment. So
And,
let's not debate it.
I do want to add the one other public comment that we have all discussed, which is regarding training. Right now, our bylaws say 4 months to allow trainings, and the suggestion as my last public comment on this is that we reduce that to 2 months and also reflect all required trainings and not just list the ones that are in the bylaws. And that would be the end of these public comments unless somebody else has something. And I do apologize. It's just what I was told had to be the way it was done. Okay, next item is government agency reports, comments. Council District 10 report would be first if we have a representative from Council District 10. Not seeing so. And then I have somebody, Alexa Abadi, who's here from Pio Pico School.
Yes. Daniel Park is here. Oh.
And Daniel Park is here as well. So let me call on Alexa, then I'll call on Daniel.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alexa Abadi. I am a staff member and special educator at Pio Pico Middle School, which is located on Pico and Arlington in Arlington Heights. So this is our neighborhood that we're talking about here. Our students live in our area, and our school is home to a variety of students from different cultural, linguistic, religious, and ability backgrounds. We have a very special community here at Pio Pico, but that is at risk of being dissolved, and this community school is in critical danger of being closed at the end of this school year to make way for another program's expansion onto our campus. So I'm not sure if this has been something that the community members have heard of, but I wanted to bring it to your attention and also just let you know what our goals are as a school. Our goals: we are opposed to excluding community and other stakeholders from decisions. We are opposed to all school closures. We are opposed to displacing special education students. We are opposed to disenfranchising English learners. And we are demanding that LAUSD develop and fund a growth plan for Pio Pico and surrounding feeder schools instead of closing down our wonderful community here. I also have some contact numbers for board members if you feel so inclined to reach out to them. And also wanted to inform our community that we will be having a march tomorrow afternoon at 3:30 at Pio Pico's campus to make our voices heard and you know, let the community know what we have at our school. So if anyone has any questions regarding what is taking place at Pio Pico, I'd be happy to try to answer them as best I can.
Dorit.
I'm a proud LAUSD mom, even though my kid's in college now. Being part of LAUSD was a major thing was a miracle, a wonderful thing for me and my family. Is your school being threatened to be taken over by a charter school? Is that what's going on?
No, and that's what makes our fight a little bit more difficult. We are trying to make way, and I don't want to talk negatively about the other school or the other program because this is not their decision. This is a district decision. And we don't want to pit two communities against each other. But the difference is that the other program is currently coexisting on LA High's campus, and they are not a community school. They have students from a variety of different parts of LAUSD, whereas Pio Pico is a community school. Our students walk to campus. Many of our students have had several generations of family members, 4 to 5 generations, attend Pio Pico. And one of the most actually unique things is that it is a community school, but we have students in the severe intellectually disabled program, and that is a one-of-a-kind program in local District West at the middle school level. So there are no other IDS programs on the West for students, so they have to come from all over the surrounding area to be part of a program that allows them to access their curriculum most effectively.
Can I ask a follow-up question? Why was your school chosen for this? Is it because your enrollment's dropping? Were you given a reason of some kind? And that's my last question. Thank you.
Yes, so we were told it was because of numbers. However, nearby Cochrane and Berendo middle schools have also had decreasing numbers. And we actually were able, I don't have access to this or I would share it. We were able to pinpoint all the charter schools that have come up in the neighborhood in recent years at the middle school and high school level. And a lot of those charter schools have been taking students from Pio Pico, Cochrane, and Berendo. And as a result, our numbers have gone down, but there was no transparency and there was no discussion with Pio Pico staff members or community members about what was happening. We were basically just told, your school's closing. And if you're a gen ed kid or a gen ed parent, pick Cochrane or Berendo. And for the special ed students, we were not given an answer as to where those students would be placed. And this is just disgusting to me. And I'm very concerned about the inequity for my students. So we were not given a warning. We were not given an opportunity to boost our numbers. And think about it. We're dealing with a pandemic. Enrollment's down everywhere. But yes, that's the information I do have.
Okay, so we have one more hand up and also we have one other government agency to speak. So
Okay.
Chris?
I wanted to ask, did this all come forward prior to the appointment of our new school superintendent? Or is this really something that's been seen by our new superintendent? Because possibly if it was already in the works, it should be revisited and brought before the new head of administration.
So we were made aware of this on the 18th. So the day after MLK Day, we were brought to a meeting with our principal and several members from the district. And this information was just given to us and that was it. And every single day I've been tweeting to Mr. Carvalho and any other related personnel trying to get their attention to get some sort of response from them. And I have not been successful with that. And I'm just really concerned because these, like I said, this is our community and these are our students and they deserve to be in a school where they're thriving and safe and successful. And that's what we have. And I don't know what's going to happen. And I want to save our school.
Alexa, I have a quick question. When the school on Teresa, when the school was built that is now called the Carson Gore School at Washington and 3rd, it was to be partnered with Pio Pico. So from kindergarten to the end. Is that the case or did that not happen?
Pio Pico actually was a span school originally. But now it is 6th through 8th. And so the population has changed a little bit, but there has not been any, unification with Carson Gore, but Carson Gore students do attend Pio Pico as, a feeder school.
Okay. Okay, I think we need to move on to Daniel Park.
If it's okay with you, may I be excused from the meeting? Because I actually do have another meeting to attend.
Sure.
Thank you everyone for your time and consideration. I'm very grateful. Have a great night, everyone.
Thank you. Daniel?
Can you guys hear me? Hello? Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Great to see everyone. Good evening. Daniel Park here with Supervisor Holly Mitchell's office. Just some short updates, with COVID, the recent surges. I always want to start off and let everyone know, please visit our website, vaccinatelacounty.com or call 1-833-540-0473. That phone number can schedule homebound vaccinations. And those are still programs that our health department is offering to the public. One of the other things that I do want to point out is testing. It's something that everyone has a interest in and trying to get those testing kits and resources. And so the county, we have a website to find the nearest testing sites available to you. So that's going to be covid19.lacounty.gov/testing. With that, one of the things that I'm trying to get feedback from the community is local churches in the area that you may think are possible testing site locations. These churches would possibly have to do drive-in and walk-up. And so if you think a church is a good location, please feel free to let me know. I'll put my email in the chat, just in case. It's dpark@bos.lacounty.gov. And the final thing is, I know I've been getting emails and calls about this. There are testing sites all throughout the county, and there are concerns of whether they are legitimate ones. And so please visit the website that I mentioned before. Those are the ones that we rely on. And be aware, if these testing sites ask you for identification, social security number, or payment, it is most likely not a legitimate testing site. So again, please visit the website covid19.lacounty.gov/testing. And that's about it.
Any other, well, are there any questions?
Can we get his email again?
I see Chris, I see Dolores, and I hear somebody asking, can they speak?
Dear Paula.
Oh, okay, so Dolores.
Hi, Daniel, Dolores Spears here. I'm on the email list for Supervisor Mitchell, and I get these emails regarding different activities that are going on in the county portion that she serves. And the events all seem to happen on the east end of the district and the south end, and nothing towards the west or the center. You know why that is, or can that be changed, or can we be included in some of these activities or events that she sponsor?
I'd love to work with you and the neighborhood councils and hosting some events. I know that the eastern side and the other locations that you were talking about, they're mainly with our unincorporated areas where the county has direct oversight. And so, that is where a brunt of our resources are. And so, that may be why, but, I'm more than happy to work with you.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions for Daniel? Okay. The next piece of this is an update from LASA regarding the 2022 homeless count. I do see that Vanessa's not here, so we can I can just show a couple of slides, or we can wait and see if she comes and just move on for now. Pleasure of the board. I'm seeing Greg doing motions, but I don't know what he said.
Move on. And she comes and she can present her material.
Okay, thank you.
So that's one person's.
No, I have her material. I just don't have her presence. But
Yes.
I'm okay to move on, and we can catch up under, under president's report if necessary at the end of the agenda. Okay, so next would be the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment report. And we have two items, A and B, and whatever report as well that Gibson may have, a Brown Act review and a discussion about Dunn's request for $1 million supplemental budget. So hi, Gibson.
Hey, Madam President, how are you,
Other
everybody?
things too.
This is the good. So hi there. So just want to follow up. Are you asking me to touch base on some of the agenda items, like the?
Well, I'm asking if whatever you were planning to tell us about Dunn, like you usually do, and then these on the agenda, we also have specifically the Brown Act, as we've been talking about, a review, if you're ready, and then what we've been asked to do by Sylvia Dunn is to discuss the request for additional budget funds, which you may be planning to tell us about anyway.
I will be honest with you, I was not prepared to do conversation about budgeting, but it's something that has been presented. I will send that information to everybody. What the budget ask was requested, especially those made a presentation to the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners. As you know, one of the budget requests is in regards to doing outreach. So there is a request for an additional amount of money, which is about million within the ask, which is an additional ask. Okay, just want to make sure my audio is clean. I'm seeing some chats like folks are seeing audio. So if my audio is bad, just please let me know. That would definitely be helpful as well. I definitely touch base on this. So want to touch base on the Able One training, right? So one thing is we are following up with board members. Everybody should have completed their training for the Able One training. And I definitely know, Ms. Grace, we're having an issue with your training showing up on the system. So I'm working on that. I just didn't have enough. Our admin team was not in by the time I needed to follow up on that, which is my apologies on that end. But Able One training, please, everybody, make sure you complete your training. Just want to make sure that everybody is doing the Able One training, just to make sure that everybody's sorted out. Has everybody? If you take a look at the website, there is definitely a couple board members. I'm not in the business of shaming anybody, but if you need help still getting into Cornerstone, let me know. We had a problem with our internet system when it came to forwarding emails. That became an issue, so folks were not able to get all their trainings completed. Everybody okay? Okay. So with that, I want to also touch base on planning 101 training. So because this board does it where it's not a set number of people, I'm going to say it again. If you know you participate in the planning and land use training, please complete the training of the Cornerstone. We'll make sure that everybody's, we'll follow up on that one. But if you know you're an avid participant, just complete the planning 101 training. I would definitely want to touch base on that. One thing that we touched, we also hosting a session. It's an onboard series that we will be hosting. It was part of our module 3. So module 3 video is up on our website. This is when we were talking about the community impact statements, the legislative process. Also, just want to touch base for funding for folks who need funding trainings. The Department of City Clerk is offering a funding training next Tuesday, February 8th, from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. It's going to be over Zoom. So if you want to RSVP, I'll send you the link. There'll also be another one on Thursdays, February 17th from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Again, bylaw amendments, the last day to submit any bylaw amendments is April 1, 2022. So I definitely know it's been an issue. Also, just if folks want us to provide input on the draft communications and social media policy, please go ahead and do so. That is something that we still is still being discussed by the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners. So it's just something that we want to circle back with everybody. So please just kind of take a look at that. This enables folks to just kind of give input on that. It was part of the monthly profile, but I'll resend it to everybody. With that, I definitely see on the agenda, we were talking about AB3. Are we discussing about AB 361?
No, we were discussing Brown Act and serial meetings.
Okay, so let me just ask the thing that I usually do to.
Teresa has her hand up. Did you want to say something, Teresa?
Yes, I do. I don't know if you're going to discuss it, Gibson, or we're going to ask you questions, or how do you want to proceed?
Let's ask questions because I didn't know I had. I just want to make sure when it comes to, I will give as much I can, and if I don't have a good answer, this will definitely need follow up from the city attorney's office. So I will answer to the best of my knowledge and my ability without giving any sort of specific legal advice. Just want to say that we just want to read out the policy the way we have it handed out to folks.
Okay, thank you very much. And these are the questions I have for you are policy questions. Mm-hmm. And I did email you today. I know it was a little late, but I did email you my examples to determine if they were Brown Act violations. Did you see my email?
I did not open it, but I definitely saw it in my inbox.
Okay, so do you want to open it now, or do you want me just to present my?
Exactly right now. So one of the questions you were asking, right? So members of the executive committee would like, so an example, right? So Brown Act, okay, so board members A, B, and C discuss on UNNC Zoom protocols. Is it anything that, so one thing is like, again, right, is is discussing the Zoom protocol sort of sufficient to the board? Is it something that the board is going to be brought to for discussion, or is it just a conversation to folks wanting, what is the intent behind that?
I don't know. I mean, if it's going to be brought to the board, what does that mean? Does that mean it could be a violation if three board members have a discussion?
So I'd like to just kind of touch base on, I like to start it this way, right? What's the board, how many board members are on this board?
We have 23 members, and my understanding is that up to six members, and this is my limited understanding of the Brown Act, but up to six board members could have a discussion without a violation, a joint discussion.
So
Um,
I'm just kind of going through your bylaws. One thing I like, before I give any sort of, I don't like to go on scenarios. What I like to sort of do is the quorum for this board is 13. So so we get into a thing about the quorum of a quorum. So if a quorum of a quorum is 13, so quorum of a quorum would be 6, so it'd be 7. So yes, any less than any less number than that, yes, folks. So like in this situation, if it's 3 board members and they're just talking about how things are set up for this board based off of the number of your board members, it's not an issue of serial communication. You guys are just talking on it. But also one thing I always like to remind folks, yes, it may be quorum of a quorum for this board, maybe 7, but if you guys, there's also an issue where you still run into communication because if it's a committee, right? You always want to make sure that everything is transparent. I always like to just sort of emphasize that. But if it's discussing something, let's say with the president and the treasurer, and it's just the 3 of you, that's not an issue. It's like you're bringing up something. One thing is like if you're trying to change Zoom protocols or this is something that you want to bring to the board, I always say take it to the committee, have it get discussed, and then brought it for board discussion. But if it's like administrative tasks, that shouldn't be an issue. Is that the scenario you're trying to bring up?
I believe so. So if it's administrative task, like I'll just use the example. And I hope my 2 other board members don't mind that I'm using them. The president of the UNNC is still using her personal Zoom for board meetings. I'm concerned about that, and I reached out to you. You provided me some information, some direction that the board could use. So Greg Jackson and Raheem and I had a discussion about Zoom protocols, especially since we know that in the future we want to stream. So was that a violation for us to discuss the administrative function of the Zoom meetings?
So from my experience, that is not. However, but if it's something that requires board discussion, I think the best course of action is you asking that matter to be agendized and discussed by this board, because it's something that needs so
Yes.
as the next step in taken on that one?
No, we just had the discussion. So that's what we would probably bring it to executive, then work it out, have the executive committee then bring it back to the board. But my concern is that I have been told many times that when I try to discuss, a myriad of issues, if it's that I am in the violation of the Brown Act, and I need to be able to have a conversation with a board member or 2 regarding issues. So I feel clear on what you just presented. Another example I would use.
So also
is-
one thing, okay, sorry,
Sure.
let me just.
No, you go ahead.
Let me provide clarification. So one of the policies that we use is the Brown Act states that serial meetings conducted by a majority of your board members to develop a consensus on a matter upcoming before the neighborhood council. That is a serial meeting, right? This prohibition exists this prohibition exists because the Act's main goal is to ensure the public's business is in fact conducted in public, right? So a serial meeting is a separate communications that ultimately involves a majority of a legislative body. So in this scenario, it's not majority because you didn't send it to like 10 people to create an email discussion. So if you've done 2 people, that's fine because you just want to bring something. And then once you do that, you just go and then you start the process. Like, hey, this is what we're trying to do. Can we go to the next level? Is that more helpful?
Yes, that is you provided clarity. Thank you. And just to add one other layer, it could have been up to 5 or 6 people, correct?
I always precaution to do it as many as possible because you want to make sure it's not a majority of you, right? You you don't want it to like look like it's a committee meeting. So don't do, I always just say, the less of the people, the better,
Okay.
right? But if it's like, so I know in the email discussion, you also talked about board members A and B gathering information for, that's not an issue. Like
Okay,
if you're
well, I'd
the,
like to bring,
yeah.
I'd like to get clarity on that. Greg Jackson and I were going to have a conversation with KYCC, which is a tree organization. And I was told that that would be a violation for the two of us to talk to a vendor or to have a Zoom call with them. So once again.
I mean, is it because you're gathering information for like, this is what we want to, with this vendor, is it for an event coming up? Yeah, you should be able to talk to them.
Okay, and that is up to, I know you said the less people, the better, but it could be up to 5 people that could have
I always,
discussed.
because your board is a large board, I always say just cap it at 5.
Okay. Okay, I think you've answered my questions. I'm not sure if others have questions or not.
Anybody else?
Well, I do, if nobody else does. Gibson, because I'm looking at this, you know, I had thought you would bring something from the city attorney or from Doug, but I'm looking at the one that the city attorney communication on serial communications that we all received a couple of years ago. But most of the people in this room are no longer the we alls. It does say that the Brown Act prohibits serial communications that lead to developing a concurrence. Developing a concurrence on an item is broadly construed. It means any discussion or information that assists you in voting. So, you know, so how do we do this? I mean, in other words, I think as a large board, people want to be efficient and have meetings and all that. But as a person who runs a large board, I'm very concerned that we not violate the Brown Act by having people develop concurrence outside of a public committee meeting. I mean, in other words, we develop concurrence all the time in our committee meetings and on agenda items. So the question is, you know, how do we do this? Because we don't have staff. Meaning a city council member has staff. Dunn has staff, obviously. The commissioners have staff. We don't, so we're staff. So we need to, on the one hand, have meetings. And then on the other hand, how do we then not develop concurrence before we hit the Brown Act compliant meetings?
I think that's everybody's just trying to be complicated for that one. I was just saying, you're trying to bring something for discussion, right? Like if 2 board members have a, hey, we want to bring this, and then they're trying to bring it to the process, that's how it is. It's not being pre-planned or pre-discussed. It's just like there's a commonality because we're human beings at the end of the day, and we also board members and we want to serve our community, right?
So
like
should I go to one of these?
I'm sorry, I'm trying to mute the person who's just arrived. Okay, go ahead.
I think in the effort of just you're trying to bring something to this for board discussion. You're not planning to do something like that's the vision. That's the idea. Like you're not discussing something that's outside the board. I don't think that becomes an issue. It's not an issue of serial communication. In the same article that we're talking about, that I think you are referring to, they're also giving an example of how one person can contact 5 other. Let's say if this board is an 11-person board and the quorum is 6, right? So it can occur if like one person contacts one member, right? Like so I'm using an example. The board member is 11 people. The quorum for that one is 6, right? So in that scenario, if those 5 people talk and those 6 people talk in one way, or this one board member is trying to get all the other 6 board members to discuss on an action that's going to come to the board, yes, it becomes a problem. But you're talking about, we want to bring this to the board and it's been between 2 or 3 people. That's not from the interpretation, that's not serial communication.
Okay. Teresa, you have your hand up. Sandra then also has her hand up.
Okay, thank you. I just want to make sure we all understand that. I'm not just talking about myself, but you also are in agreement that that is the procedure, or that's an
Teresa,
accepted
if you and
procedure.
I have an idea of a motion and we're on the same page and we want to talk to, let's say, Lizzie, right? I'm just using, I'm not insinuating anything, Lizzie, just go with me as an example, right? But it's like, hey, we want to bring it for discussion. It's like, hey, I have an idea. We're on the same page, right? And if that's the idea, then it's brought up for discussion. And you guys always take it to the committee process. That's not an issue.
Right.
Okay, I thank
Because
you.
it's commonality on an issue, but you want it to be further discussed. Like, hey, I'm concerned about this. Oh, I'm concerned about this. Can we bring this for discussion? That's not an issue. There's nothing that you're not necessarily, what we're just trying to stop is official discussion of issues on that from this board. But if you're talking to a board member or two, it's not an issue, because you also, I like to also remind them, it's sometimes your neighbors too. Like imagine seeing your neighbor, but we can't talk to them, right? It's also at some level, it's just trying to make sure if it's like a neighborhood council issue, that's what you're bringing to the board for discussion. But if it's like a neighbor, I don't want you to see each other at a coffee shop, but I can't talk to you. Like zero communication, man. It's yeah.
We call
Okay,
on some.
thank you.
Yeah, Sandra.
Okay, hi. I could kind of see this as being a problem because sometimes it could turn in, since we don't really meet together as people, it could turn into where a minority of people can be speaking for the majority of people. What's the purpose of having committees, an executive committee, where they're supposed to together talk about these things, where there's only 4 or 5 people, and then they're bringing it to the board committee? Because we can get into, I start to feel that, once again, a minority of people are now trying to speak for the majority of the people on this board. And I'm concerned about that. And the other thing, okay, and the other thing is events. Are UNNC's funding events, or what is the policy with that now?
So right now we are still discouraging NCs from fund events, but we're taking it on a case-by-case basis because we are trying to just work on current public health guidelines. That is our assessment when it comes to events, especially public events. Also, one thing I'd like to reiterate is like no board member can be in full representation of this board without full board action. So anything that this board discusses, it must be brought for full board discussion. So yes, it could be something that, what I'm trying to say is a board member or two cannot just represent the full board's action. Everything has to be brought up for full discussion, full vote, and then it goes there. That's how every neighborhood council is designed to work. Nobody represents the board in entirety, and they can't speak on behalf of the board in a certain situation without board action.
I hear that in theory, but I was on this board for a long time and I see it started to change. And I really reiterate again, because not so many people are speaking up. There's only a few people, minority of the people speaking for the majority of the people. So I'm becoming concerned about that. But I got your point. I'm going to continue speaking for Jefferson Park.
So yeah, I like to say this: don't be the person carrying the full board, right? So it's like the capacity of don't try to carry this whole board. That's why everybody's a board member here. You guys want to, right? We're trying to do diligence and practicing democracy, and we want to make sure democracy is having a full common vote in this scenario. So in this matter, it's all board, any board action, any sort of representation of the community has to have the full consent and the full vote of this full governing body.
Thank you, Gibson.
Thank you, Ms. Sandra.
Okay, are there any other questions or comments? We're still on what Gibson has mentioned already in the Brown Act question answer. We aren't yet at 7B apparently.
Yeah, and if there's any further need for clarification, I did not realize I needed to bring something from the city attorney's office. I will send something. I will work on getting a guidance as well, just addition from the office of the city attorney's office. So it will get in everybody's inbox.
Thank you, Gibson. So are there any, I see no other hands. So on 7B, I just wanted to, it's up to you guys, and we could just defer this as well to executive, but Raquel Beltran, who is the, Gibson, what's her title? Is she manager, director?
Raquel Beltran is our general manager for the
general
department.
manager, has made a request for $1 million in supplemental funding for Dunn to, there's some other things, including a component with the training of the cornerstone to make that a little better, and CIS is a little better. But the majority of that money is requested money is for outreach for election 2023. And been a request at her presentations that neighborhood councils, that we support that. And at the same time, there's now become discussion about how was the 6,000 spent on the 2021 election. And the Reseda Neighborhood Council filed they basically did like an investigative reporting job apparently, and they filed the CIS with a letter outlining how that money wasn't necessarily spent well or spent timely. So the question is, first of all, given that it's 8 o'clock already, do we want to take this up? And Greg's shaking his head no. And second, even if we want to take it up, do we want to refer it to executive because of the timing tonight? And Greg has his thumbs up, but he also has his hand raised. So if you want to unmute yourself, Greg, you can. Lizzie has her hand up too.
No, Madam President, on that issue, since it's a brand new issue, I would just say we follow protocol and just take it to executive first.
Okay.
Before we just putting information out.
Thank you.
All right.
Lizzie.
Yes, hello everyone. I have read the report from the Reseda Neighborhood Council, and I highly encourage everyone to do so. And I firmly believe that this issue needs to be taken very seriously and be presented to the executive board so that we can discuss it later in the year.
Yeah, and in more detail.
We need to discuss it. Thank you.
Thank you, Lizzie. And Greg.
I just want to, Madam President, on a next agenda item, I just wanted to ask for a different order of sequence of events for item 9 and item 8, because we have guests.
Yeah, no, I know. That's why one reason why we should just move along here. And we also have stuff later in the evening. So I would say that we will agenda 7B for executive committee, or Lizzie, would you prefer it at your outreach committee or both? Since it involves outreach funds, I don't know what you want. Would you want to do it at the outreach meeting, committee meeting before we then go to executive?
No, I think at executive.
Straight to executive. Okay, let's do that. And then moving on, the next item, 8A, board member training report. I think Gibson may have just given us the update regarding anti-bias and planning 101. The only thing I would like to say back to Gibson is that we have not been provided a list of board members who have taken those trainings. So it's really hard for us to track it as a board if we don't know who has or hasn't taken the training. And Dolores, do you have anything to add regarding any other board member training?
No.
Okay.
There is, Greg provided me a list of gray areas, caution areas, and need to take care of areas. So I'll be sending emails to those board members who need to be updated.
Okay.
When is the bias training due?
It was due.
Yeah,
Yeah, Greg, it was due January 1, but they keep pushing out the deadline a little.
Oh, that's nice of them.
Right, but so for our board members, it'd be really terrific if you have taken the anti-bias training and or the planning 101 training. Since you have your own certificates, will you please email them to Dolores so that we can keep a record, since we're not getting a complete record necessarily from Dunn itself. And they're having issues again with their email system as well. So if you have, just send an email to Dolores with your certificates, please. All right, moving on. Greg, treasurer, I know you need to be made into a co-host. All I need, wait, do me a favor, Greg, raise your hand so you go back up to the top of the list so I can find, oh, there you are.
Madam President, could we have, can we address item C first, as that involves our guests?
Absolutely.
Okay, All right.
This
who would
is
like-
your treasurer update. You're
I
the,
wanna follow
you're the
protocol.
lead for items 9A, B, C.
Okay. Of our guests, who would like to go first?
Yeah, and also, do I need to make anybody else a co-host?
I'm happy to go first.
Okay. Dr. Bailey will go first. So let's share. Let me see her information.
Dr. Bailey, do you want to be a co-host and share your own screen, or is Greg sharing the screen?
Sure, I'm happy to share the screen if you'd like. I don't mind.
Is that a,
That's
Oh.
fine. That's fine.
well, Greg,
Okay, well, I can stop sharing. No, I can stop sharing. Okay, go.
okay, let me, let Dr. Bailey do it.
Question, how many people do we have giving reports and how long does each person have?
3-5 minutes each.
Okay,
Or less, if they can do it in less.
Right. The point,
hopefully it'll be less.
the point is that
We have a full board, I mean, a full agenda.
Okay, Dr. Bailey, you're a co-host now.
Oh, okay, all right. Let's see if I can get started here. All right. Trying to get my, okay, so let me just go back. All right, first of all, I'd like to say thank you for having me, and also thank you for your support of Ignited Lights Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service. It should be within 5 minutes. It's basically a pictorial. So the event was January 15th, 2022 at the Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Plaza. It was definitely a success. Our honorary co-chair, Senator Sidney Kamlager, was on hand to greet and say hello. She basically just walked around and waved at people mostly because it was a drive-through event for the most part. And we also had one of our strong supporters, the CEO of Community Build, Mr. Robert Salcedo. And you also see the planning committee there, which without them, I would not have been able to execute this event. So just to give you a brief overview, we had cars in line an hour before the event began. And as you see up here, some of our volunteers were Stentorians, which is a volunteer group that is coordinated by.
Dr. Bailey, we're not seeing a presentation.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Let me see if I can go out. Okay, I'm so sorry. Okay. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so let me try to get it to I'm trying to move this so I can see where I can start the
If you would like to
slideshow.
show
Here we
the
go.
full presentation, click from beginning.
Okay, so there we go. Okay, so here again, I'm showing Senator Kamlager and Mr. Robert Salcedo and the MLK Day of Service Planning Committee. We had cars waiting in line an hour before the event started. And here in the top right, some of our volunteers were Stentorians, who is a volunteer group that is organized by the Black Firefighters Association. And given that we know some people were on foot, we had a walk-up station. So there were several people who were able to just come up and get a box. Depending on the size, we had 2 sizes of boxes. The ones that came from World Harvest were the white ones, which were much larger. So if they were able to carry that box, then we would give them that one. Otherwise, we also had some that were 14 pounds from the LA Regional Food Bank, and we would pass those out to individuals. The COVID testing and vaccinations, we were able to test 90 people, and we vaccinated 78 adults and children. The Los Angeles Police Department was on hand to distribute information for employment, and they also assisted in passing out luggage, which you see here, that was provided by the She Ready Foundation. And their target population is youth, foster youth. So they passed out luggage for young ladies between the ages of 14 to 28. LAPD also assisted in passing out backpacks that were provided by AP Keenan Insurance. And this picture here is basically just a testament of why we do what we do. This lady, even though this was a drive-through event, she was so overwhelmed with appreciation, she got out to say thank you. And her story primarily was she was a grandmother of 3. She was caring for, and she was also caring for a great grandchild. So the fact that she was able to get so much and it was unexpected, she was just overwhelmed with appreciation. So we do have, I'm hoping that this link will work, a quick video to let you see the event.
Dr. Bailey, sometimes with with a sharing thing, it doesn't work if you hadn't clicked on something else to begin with. So I think our 5 minutes is coming to a.
Okay, you can't hear it? It's okay. All right, so that's all that I have.
And did you say how many boxes of food total were?
Yes, we did. No, I didn't. We distributed 1,320 boxes.
Oh. Okay, Greg, do you have any questions?
No, it's outstanding event, so it's good teamwork.
Right, Teresa.
Thank you, Laura. And also thank you very much, Dr. Bailey. One of our community members were able to get some boxes to assist some other people in the community, and they were very happy with the contents of the boxes. And I just want to thank you very much for your hard work.
Oh, thank you so much. It was my pleasure, and I do appreciate your support of the event as well.
Thank you. Do you know how to stop your screen share? You
Yes.
see a little red box that says perfect.
Okay, and do I need to make someone else the host, or is that
No,
all?
I'm gonna let Greg tell me who next.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm
Who
going
wants
to
to go
introduce
next?
myself, and I thank you again.
I can go next.
Thank you, Dr. Bailey.
Okay,
you, Dynasty.
Dynasty, are you doing a visual presentation?
Yes, ma'am.
And again, let's try to do 3 minutes, even though we could give you 5, but let's try to do 3.
I got you, no problem. Thank you, Dr. Bailey, for your presentation. You set the tone for us tonight.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. I'm excited. I'm waiting to hear yours.
Okay, let me see if I can share. Okay, guys, let me put it in presentation mode. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. So hello, everyone. My name is Dynasty Taylor. I'm the founder and president of Dynasty's United Youth Association. And so our mission is to ensure that all children and youth have access to quality programs that promote character and cultural competence. So for the past, let me move this bar so I can see. Okay, cool. So for the past 3 to 4 years, we're called DUYA, AKA, that's like our nickname. We have partnered with UNNC for the past 3 to 4 years, where they have provided us continued amount of funding to support our cause. So we requested $4,000 to provide program assistance for virtual and in-person homework assistance and tutoring for grades K through 12 for the fall 2021 semester. The program was held daily, Monday through Friday from 12 to 8. And we also included STEM, arts and crafts, beginner Spanish, and life skill workshops And the staff executed all of the support programs for the students. And we were mainly targeting our focus towards students who were in danger of failing due to the COVID-19 learning loss. So just for some updates, we're known for providing services at the Jefferson Branch Library and the Washington Irving Library for the past 5-6 years. We have currently been a virtual partner since March 18th, 2020 due to the pandemic. We're not sure when we will be invited back into the library, but we're still a virtual partner with the Los Angeles Public Library. So with that being said, with the 12 to 1,300 students that we served this year, 20% of those students came from UNNC, which was about 200 students. Out of the 20% of students from UNNC, 15% attended virtually, 5% attended in person. Out of the 20% of students from UNNC, 18% are currently on grade level and 2% are still striving to meet grade level standards. In May of this year, students will be taking their post-diagnostic assessments and our tutors will be hosting parent conferences to discuss the students' pre and post-test diagnostic results just to see how they grew within this time and to see if the services are effective. And the platform that we use to administer our diagnostics is called Oasis Learning. I wanted to just give you guys a gallery. Due to a lot of confidentiality agreements that we have with our program, we can't really share too many personal sessions that we have for individual and group tutoring. So I tried to make sure that I protected that statement and was able to show you guys just more of the visual of some of the kids who've been coming by. So in the middle, there's like a Zoom photo because we did like an activity with arts and crafts a couple of weeks ago. And then these are just a couple of photos from just being in the center and working around some of the kids. And so I have some videos for you guys. They're real quick. So let me bring this back. This is a Spanish course because we provide beginner Spanish. So you're going to see like a laptop on the right, and that's going to be our virtual students that are online. Okay, that's one. And then I have one child here.
So how do you get the unknown? So we have to subtract 13 minus 4.
So I'll pause it here in light of time. And these are just some of the other programs that we provide additional for the students who are receiving group tutoring or private tutoring. These services are a part of their membership package for free. As you guys may know, we have a new center we launched in July. So it's open in Inglewood. The cross streets are Manchester and Isis, close to Manchester and La Cienega. I had a lovely visit from Joshua, Raheem, and Greg from this board. They came to interview me about the work that I've been doing with the neighborhood council for the past couple of years. So it was very fun. We were hanging out for about an hour or two, just talking about the work, and they videotaped me. I was a little nervous, but I got through it. And so if you have not came by the center, I would invite you guys to come by. We're serving all of Los Angeles County. We just happen to have a center in Inglewood. So I just wanted to give you guys a visual what it looks like, because I know the UNNC has been online for the last couple of, I would say, year or two. So this is just a visual of our site. And so this is the staff. I have to make sure that I recognize them because they have really worked tirelessly for the past couple of years, even through the pandemic, to make sure that we are thriving. And we just got a new partnership with Inglewood School District where we're serving 8 additional schools, additional to the libraries and at the center. So our services have become to a higher demand, which has gave us the reasoning of why we have in-person services as well. And we have about 16, 17 tutors now to support more students because the demand is high and it's increasing every day. And so my next steps is we do have seats available. So if you have any students who are interested or families who are interested in this program, they can go to www.dynastiesyouth.org. We have also created our 2021 impact report. So I plan to send that over as well. And then I will share a flyer of our services with the UNNC so they can share it with the community. And I look forward to partnering with you all in the future. I will submit my project completion form by this week, along with the impact report and the flyer. Thank you guys for your time, and I hope that was less than 5 minutes.
Close, but no. Not quite. But it was a really good presentation. Are there any questions? I see a clapping hand.
Thank you,
Okay.
guys. Thank you.
Thank you,
UNNC.
Darcy.
Thank you.
Is it okay if I
Greg,
log off?
yeah.
Yes,
I gotta,
yes,
okay, it's dinner
yes,
time.
yes, yes, people,
Okay.
yes. All right, thank you. Take
Bye,
care.
guys.
Hi,
Bye.
Ines. And Greg, who is our third person?
Is it either Rebecca or Elizabeth? Who's presenting from the Garden School Foundation?
It's me, Elizabeth, and I'm
Hi,
super
Elizabeth.
happy to be here
Hi.
today.
Hi, Elizabeth.
Hi. And are you doing a presentation?
I am.
So
But
I'll make you a co-host.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Great. I should be able to. So some of this I'm going to skip over, and thank you, Cassandra and Dynasty, who presented. If you're still on, I enjoyed hearing. And again, I'm Elizabeth from Garden School Foundation. We received a grant last year for $5,000. And so I'm just going to go through some photos and some stats. Basically, we got the grant to expand our 24th Street Elementary farmers markets, which happen on campus during pickup. Originally, they happened on the weekends, only once a month. And so with a lot of increased funding, we were able to expand them to the first and third Thursday of every month. And we were also able to get a lot more food. So here's some of us out front of the market. So we don't take pictures of families out of respect for their privacy while they shop. And so basically the first big outcome that we got from the grant was that we increased the frequency of the markets from monthly to bi-monthly. And we also increased the volume of produce, which is very exciting. We're sharing an average of 2,000 pounds with over 50 families at each market. Before that, we gave away maybe more like 500 pounds. So it's been a really big increase, and it's been really important for our school communities. So since classes resumed in September, we hosted 7 markets this year, including one this morning, which went really well. So basically, just briefly, the markets do occur, as I said, basically twice a month. We move them to the morning drop-off hours, basically by putting them during drop-off when parents are already on campus. We're just able to give away a lot more and reach a lot more families in a way that's much more convenient to them. And so one of the offshoots of having a lot of volume is that before we had to limit a lot of what we could give of super desired items like mangoes. And now we have unlimited amounts and they can take however much they want, which is really nice. Our next one is expanding our reach. So we really wanted to open the markets beyond just our school families. And that's something that we haven't fully been able to accomplish yet. However, we have been able to start distributing with extra funding from staff hours and stuff to have much more ability to share with the community fridges, as well as for our educators to take it back to their schools to share with those school families and teachers. And then whatever is left over, or if we have bad food, we put that into our compost program, which provides soil for all 8 of our gardens. And we are currently looking at ways to expand the markets or potentially become a food forward hub. So here's a picture just sort of what the food looks like when we kind of give it away and make these bags. These were actually for teachers of some leftover produce. And here's some of our staff. So we also were able to increase our volunteerism. So basically since COVID, everything's been closed and it's been really hard. But since this event happens out front of the school, we're actually are able to have volunteers. And we've really been able to reconnect with a lot of our big sponsors like Sprouts and Angel City. And through having them come by, we're able to basically just increase our reach in terms of possible funders and stuff like that, because volunteering, when people see it in action, is a huge part of the program. And so these are just some of our volunteers. So we're at the end, good news. Our big projections for 2022 is probably the best thing is that we're continuing the markets indefinitely. And the need for them has just grown. The markets are extremely popular, so it's going to become a key part of our programming. And this spring, we're going to host 10 markets. Again, we share 2,000 pounds per market. And as we go forward, we're just currently in the mode of seeking both short-term and long-term funding. And hopefully at some point, we'll be able to potentially reapply for funding from the neighborhood council, because we've loved having it and working with you guys has been great. So that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for your support. It's made such a huge difference in what we've been able to accomplish, and we're so, so grateful. And that's pretty much the end of my presentation, and I will go ahead and wrap everything up. So thank you guys again.
Right. Are there any questions or comments?
Dolores' hand is up.
I just wanted to ask, excuse me, is the food distribution just for the families of 24th Street School, or can anybody participate?
Right now, we give priority to the families. We do typically have leftover food that we share with people who come by, who know about the market. And so our big goal in this year is to be able to have enough volume that we can have it just open hours where people can come by. But sometimes we run out of really hot items like strawberries and stuff right now. So we're still trying to keep it smaller.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
And it's really nice for all three of these to see the results and not just get a financial report at the end. So great, it was a great idea that you had to have them bring the presentations.
Thank you. Okay, so next, thank you to our guests and have a good evening. Hang around if you want to. Okay, next item, budget report information. Ready? Here we go. Okay. Okay, so can everyone see my screen? Yes? Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so two things I want to show you first is from last month, we were informed that we had a rollover of over 25K, but we did some reconciliation of that, and that has been corrected. So instead of having this $57,402, what we actually have is 50,000, and the adjustment was 18 rollover because some of the funds that were listed were paid out in last year. So we won't, when we look at the MERS report, it still will show this $57,000 for December, but we will see a budget correction in the January MERS, which is not posted as of this evening. So this is the overview of our budget for now. We still have the money for the Ignite program, the MPG, that's still pending. We supported that program with working with one of our partners, but we also said we were going to give them funds. We could go through the details of the budget, but I don't think that's really necessary at this time. The other thing that we do need to do is we need to have a budget adjustment. So we need to, the budget adjustment will look like the following. We said that we were going to put an additional $6,000 towards the work of our communication committee and our outreach committee. That $6,000 will come from the community improvement projects, which you see here. Can anyone see this? The $6,000 will come from here. And then we also said that we wanted to put additional money towards towards some of our outreach areas, such as, we want to put more money towards the business cards, and that can come from the miscellaneous expenses, which is our first rollover amount. Later on this evening, we will have a request to support an event. So I just want you to know that we do have funds available to support those events. So are there any questions? None? Okay, so Madam President, would it be appropriate time to do the motion for the budget adjustment?
Laura stepped away, Greg.
No, I
you're
just jumped in, and Greg, we should not be doing the budget adjustment, which, by the way, is much later in the agenda till after we have voted on our funding items.
Okay. Sounds good to me. All right, so that's that part. Any questions on the overview of the budget? No? Okay, so hand raised, yes. Yes, Sandra.
Unmute myself. Yes, so I see, I'm the events person. So I see that you said that there's events coming up that are getting funded.
We have requests for events. We have a request for events, but when that is presented, then I will repeat some of the things that Gibson said earlier. Because of COVID and the protocol with that, an event request can be submitted, but then it will need to be reviewed based upon the current COVID concerns that the city will let us know. So the short version is that, yes, event requests can be submitted, but with that request, a submission does not mean an automatic approval because of the city's restrictions and then any change in the COVID restrictions.
Okay.
So that's the overview.
Oh,
But I'll
okay.
repeat that when we get into that section. Okay, so the next, any other questions? All right, the next item is the monthly expenditure report. So let me come back over here. Let me stop that share. Okay. Here we go. This is our December monthly expenditure report. And as you can see, it had the higher level of funding that we've made adjustments to it. These are the funds that were expended in December and November and October. Money that we gave to KYCC, payment made to our photographer, reimbursement for a computer item, and then payment for our web. So if there aren't any questions, I make a motion that we approve the December monthly expenditure report.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion.
Okay, are there any questions or comments, or shall we just call the roll?
Call the roll. So we
Okay.
can go to bed.
Okay. John, has John arrived?
He has not arrived.
Okay. Lizzie,
Yes.
Sarah Lacy,
Yes.
Greg Jackson,
Yes.
Chris Carlson. Is Chris stepped away? Michael Kimbrough,
Yes.
Teresa Masonette is a yes. Karine Alpert,
Yes.
Grace,
Yes.
Grace can vote, okay. Paula,
Yes.
Sarah Long Henry,
Yes.
thank you. Laura Myers,
Yes.
Carlos, Paul,
Yes.
Charlie,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Raheem,
Yep.
Dolores,
Yes.
Dorit,
Yes.
and Jasmine.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Okay. I'm sorry, I missed something, Teresa. One of our board members is ineligible to vote on funding without calling the person out. Since we had that discussion earlier today, if you mark that person as ineligible, please.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Greg, we done? Until later in the evening when we do the budget
Sure,
adjustment?
sure.
Perfect.
Item
Yay.
10.
Okay, executive committee. Dolores, do you want to run this section?
Sure.
Whoop. Where is Dolores? Okay, well, there she, hi Dolores, do you want to run this section on the funding request?
Sure.
Okay.
Oh, okay. We're talking about A, 10A, funding event partner request, the Amazing Grace Conservator, Sharp Sugar Hill Arts Revival Project. They are requesting up to $1,000. Discussion and action. Are the Amazing Grace people here?
They are. I don't know which one of them is our presenter though. I see several. I see Jackie. I see Saw. I see Lauren. Who's our presenter and who needs to be a
Okay, can you share the screen with Wendy, please? Wendy will present.
Hi,
And she'll
I'm
lay-
here. Good evening.
And Wendy, do you need
guys.
to be a co-host?
No, I just wanted to basically say good evening and introduce myself. I'm Wendy Raquel Robinson, and I'm the co-founder and artistic director for Amazing Grace Conservatory. And as we celebrate our 25th anniversary season, I am just so excited to bring this particular project to not only the community, but to the Sugar Hill Arts District. As you all know, this is an amazing area of Los Angeles that we happen to be located in. We're right off of Washington and Wilton, right there on the corner, the little mustard seed building. And in that particular area, Hattie McDaniel, Ethel Waters, Ray Charles, all of the great legends are there. They grew up in that particular area and lived in that particular area. And we are an arts organization, and we are presenting an outdoor festival, and all under COVID guidelines and protocols. God willing, everything will be totally fine by that time. But I wanted to personally just introduce myself, not only to the committee and to the council, but thank you, Madam President, for your time as I introduce our Vice President, Jackie Honoré Elam, who will go into further detail. Thank you.
All right. Hello, everyone. And actually, very quickly, we brought our alumni, Lauren, to talk about the specifics of the festival. We have requested some funding to assist us, but I just wanted to give you just a quick snapshot that this is an immersive arts event, and we're going to tell stories in unique ways. So without further ado, Lauren, would you join in?
I'm here. Hello, everyone. Happy to be here. I know we don't have much time, so getting into the detail, we are requesting a $1,000 grant to help cover the stage, porta potties, and sinks, specifically for the event. We did send over the forms with some additional detail over to Laura. And yeah, I know we have to be brief, so I just want to be as specific as possible, requesting that $1,000 grant for porta potties, sinks, and to help cover the stage.
Okay. In our last meeting, we were requested to make sure that our forms were thorough. Laura has that information. I don't know, Laura, if you can show the forms or any of the content.
Let me ask the board if the forms are all in the advanced agenda packet. So Greg, I'd like to know your opinion and the board's opinion. As you know, do you want me to share that, or you know, what would you like us?
Well, my preference would be that I'll look at the forms, and I know we talked about doing in-kind support for like the rental of the stage. I didn't, and they have more detail now about porta potties and sinks. So I'll look at it, and I don't think we need to show the form for brevity.
Okay.
Okay.
I do have a question about the paperwork, since you just asked. Do we have do we need the tax ID number for, you know, the thing
No.
shows that we don't need it for this one?
No, so let me back us all up a little bit. We have been asked to do two things. One is to be a co-sponsor, co-presenter of the event itself, because part of the idea of the event is they're closing the street, Wilton Place, from Washington to 18th. And in order to do that, they need a city co-sponsor, and we are a city co-sponsor. So that's with or without money. And then also, when we co-sponsor, it gives more impetus to Council District 10 to provide the rentals, the majority of the rentals, the tents, the tables, the chairs, things like that, for free. Meaning that not free because they're renting them or they have them stored, but it becomes a partnership. So the $1,000 that's being requested from us, and Greg is right, it's, if possible, if we can keep finding everything for free, then they don't need our 1,000, but it's an operations support. So right now they have identified where $1,000 could go, and we do have a very thorough application, but this is not an NPG. We're not donating, we're partnering in effect. So it's an actual events request, and they filled out the city clerk's events request form, which oddly enough is more detailed than an NPG form, and has a much longer checklist. I'm just saying it's more detailed and may or may not be approved, as Greg pointed out, unfortunately. So we have all of that. The total budget, if memory serves, is close to $40,000. No, I'm so wrong about that. It's $13,000.
13,000.
1350, yeah, 13,350. So again, we could post all of that. It's just the pleasure of everybody if you want us to or not. And Greg has his hand up again.
Yeah, just in the interest of speed, we have a form. There's other things that we need to look into that we've already started our communication with the city, our city partners concerning the event. There's also, since we just told that we are partnering with them, there's a need for insurance, which I will work on.
It's provided already, Greg, by one of the other partners.
Okay, all right. So I want to make sure that our city partners are okay with that, because it said that we need to provide coverage for our people.
Okay.
In policy. So so the request, again, the way it's submitted, we're just looking at it briefly. Looks fine, but we just need to start working the details. So I think it's good enough for us to move forward with it.
Thank you.
Teresa?
Thank you, Dolores. I'd like to make the motion from the executive committee to fund this project and provide them the $1,000 that they're requesting for this event.
Do you have a second?
I will
second.
I'm sorry. Who said that?
Karina Elkich.
Lizzie?
Karina did.
Green.
Green,
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was Lizzie.
green.
Soft voice.
Yes. And is that motion also to partner with, present co-partner?
Was that okay, the request is for UNNC to take a partnership sponsorship role for this event.
Right.
And for up to $1,000 to help support event operations with such as rentals. Yes, so that motion was for the rental, the $1,000 as well as the partnership and support. So we had a second. You want to call the roll, Teresa?
I want to make sure no one has any, wait.
What was that?
Making sure no one has any further questions.
My only comment is that I will need to speak to the people from the organization as I receive details. And I don't want to, I don't mean to be a pain about stuff, but I know sometimes I am. I'm like, what about this? And I'm not being mean or anyone. I'm just like, this is what the rules are, and this is what we have to do. So I'll just wanted to let you know that based upon information, I will contact you and tell you where we are in the process.
So are you against the motion?
No, I'm just, no, Madam Vice
Okay,
President. I'm just
I just
saying,
want to be clear. I didn't understand where you were going.
I'll just tell them I need to talk to them about it.
Okay, so are there any other comments or questions?
The only comment I will make is, Greg, when I forwarded you the information, you will see there are 8 email addresses on that email.
Well, I will email all of them. Whoever
Okay.
wants to respond, to respond.
Please do. Okay.
Yeah, I'll talk to
Any other questions or comments? Teresa, please call the roll.
Okay, Jasmine Johnson. Jasmine?
Yes.
Thank you. Dorit?
Yes.
Dolores?
Yes.
Raheem?
Yep.
Taylor?
Yes.
Thank you. Charlie?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Sarah Long Henry?
Yes.
Paula?
Yes.
Grace? I'm not sure about Grace.
Yes.
Thank you. Kareem?
Yes.
Teresa is also a yes. Michael?
Yes.
Chris Carlson, did she come back?
She's having internet issues. I don't know.
Okay. Okay. Greg?
Yes.
Sarah Lacey?
Yes.
Lizzie?
Yes.
The motion passes.
Okay, next item. The funding request. The UNNC Communications Committee is beginning to roll out the Community Cube, and they're proposing a request for up to $250 for the Community Cube project. Raheem, are you presenting this?
Yeah, and Dolores, it's French, so it's Cube.
Oh, sorry.
Just kidding.
And Raheem, I did just make you a co-host. I don't know if you needed to show something. I have the cube thing as an individual image if you wanted me to share it.
Yeah, that's all we have.
Laura, it's Cube.
Cube. I have the Cube as a single image.
Yeah, and so it's, I mean, we don't have much to show. It's the same thing that everybody saw at our last board meeting. And what you have in that image isn't even necessarily what we're going to build. So just to again back everything up, as part of the rollout, we presented everything at the last board meeting, totaled up to $6,000. We're going through now and kind of pulling individual items out. The items that make sense to take to the outreach committee and present to them first. We're in the process of doing that. So this is kind of the first item to come through that process. We went back to the outreach committee with this item, with the specific request for the community cube, kind of talked it through. They're okay with us moving forward, so we are. And the idea here is that we want to build big cubes that we will paint with chalkboard paint. And the idea is that part of our whole branding outreach was that We want to be an organization that really does a great job of listening to our community, to our stakeholders. And one of the ways we think we can do that is with these community cubes. So the idea is that these cubes will be out in public spaces, public events or public parks, and we will prompt people with a question or some sort of statement to kind of get them to respond on the cube. Something like, what unique thing do you bring to your neighborhood? And people could go to this cube and write something on that. So the prompts will be be part of the cubes. They'll be part of like a social media push, and then people can kind of respond on the cubes. No idea how successful these things will be. The great thing about this idea is that it's a pretty low barrier for cost, $250. With this money, we'll go out and build a prototype and possibly put it up. Even I think we were talking about maybe the Amazing Grace event in April if it happens as a possibility. So yeah, this money is just to kind of for us to get our hands on some money to build a prototype to test out at this upcoming event.
Laura.
Yes, and just for your information, Grace, if we do this, probably need to stage it at your house the day before the event so we can pull it out without needing a truck on the day of the event. I hope you don't mind that we volunteered you.
Is it that heavy?
Fine.
Right. So anyway, so that was my only comment. But yes, I mean, I think the idea is, Raheem, that if we have it, well, for everybody, if we can get this done, we would have it at the at this event. And I had received an email from one of the Sharp partners saying where, and I don't know, maybe on the plaza in front of the apartment building, maybe right in the center of Wilton Place. I mean, I think we'll have to figure that out once we figure out all the logistics, but that was an idea.
That would be great.
I think Paula has a question.
I'd actually like to just make the motion that we approve this $250 for the communication committee.
And I'd like to second, Lizzie.
Lizzie, second.
Thank you.
Are there any comments or questions? Greg.
How big and how heavy is this thing?
Again, we're not really working off of any sort of plans where it's gonna, but I'm thinking probably like 6 feet, weight maybe, 100 and 120 pounds, I don't know.
Okay.
It'll depend on the materials, probably less than that, maybe 80 pounds, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jackie?
Oh, just a great addition to the festival. We love that idea. Thank you.
That's great.
Any other questions or comment? Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you.
Seeing none, can we call for the question? Teresa, will you call the roll, please?
Yes. Lizzie,
Yes.
Sarah Lacy,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
is Chris back yet? Okay.
Don't see her.
Michael. Okay.
Yes.
Mike, thank you. Teresa is also a yes. Corrine,
Yes.
Grace,
Yes.
Paula,
Yes.
Sarah Long Henry,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Charlie,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Raheem,
Yep.
Dolores,
Yes.
Dorit,
Yes.
and Jasmine.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passes.
Thanks, everybody.
Next, item C, Jefferson Boulevard Greenbelt Tree Planting Project, updated funding request. UNNC has previously approved this project along Jefferson Boulevard to plant 25 trees on the north side of Jefferson between Western and Crenshaw. The trees were planted on January 15th. The Greenbelt project administrator has engaged CCC, California Conservation Corps, to water and maintain the young trees for 3 years. UNNC Executive Committee recommends funding a portion of this effort by utilizing the previously approved NPG grant amount of $6,900 for the CCC Foundation. This NPG is an administrative adjustment and resubmittal to allow reassigning the NPG to an eligible nonprofit entity to accomplish the same purpose of watering and maintenance of the newly planted trees. Funding remains $6,900. Sandra? You're muted.
Oh, hey, hi. Yes, I have a question about that. It says that the trees were planted from Crenshaw, from Western to Crenshaw?
Yes.
Is that so? Because I only seen the trees going all the way up to Arlington. How do we verify that? Has anybody verified that? Because I even see where Lizzie had posted out there, asked a question about how did somebody see the trees being planted, and we did see them planted, but see them go further than, and I walk every morning around that area, and I didn't see them go any further than Arlington. So how is it being verified?
I'm not sure about that. We'll have to get back to you on that. Teresa and then Dorit.
Thank you, Dolores. I can verify it. And actually, I'm going to be meeting with UFD, which is the Urban Forest Division, tomorrow. And we're going to walk and look at each and every of the trees, because I guess some of them are not succeeding or thriving the way they should. So there are 3 trees that were not planted or that were not viable at the time of planting. The other ones seem to be fine. There are a few that need some additional watering or something, but I'm working with Urban Forestry and we're going to look at them tomorrow.
Dorit?
I
Can
love
I ask
this.
a question?
Wait, can we get back to you, Sandra? Dorit?
I completely support this, but and it could have been my not seeing it. Do we have an IRS letter saying that they're a nonprofit? Was
Yeah.
it submitted? Because I did not see it in the package, but I could miss it.
Oh,
Just wanna
you're
make
talking
sure we
about,
get-
talking about
Let me
hello,
finish it.
hello, one at a time, please.
Yeah,
Dorit, are you speaking of CCC being a nonprofit?
Yes. Do we have their letter stating that they are?
Yes, we have. Actually,
cool.
California Conservation Corps is a government agency, but they also have a foundation. And the foundation did provide the IRS number and some other legal documents, which are sent to Greg when he helped prepare this document.
Okay, I just didn't see it on our package of documents, so that's the reason I asked. Thank you for clarifying.
Okay, we'll go to Sandra, then Cheryl, then Laura.
Okay, so are you saying, Teresa, that the trees did they only fill in where there were empty trees from Western to Crenshaw? One question. And how many trees did they place?
The selection of trees was done prior to my joining the board, beginning in 2019. So it wasn't every single site, because the site has to, there are particular qualifications for each site. So it's on the north side of Jefferson, and it does extend from periodically from Western to Crenshaw. And what was your second question?
How many trees were planted?
It was supposed to be 25, 21 were planted. The other remaining trees are going to be planted. They were just not viable at the time.
And what kind of trees are they?
No, it's all right.
Hold on for a second. Lizzie, you can answer that?
No, I can answer it too. I mean, are we going to spend time talking about this information that's available, or are we going to do the vote? It's a Brisbane box and an Australian willow, 2 different varieties.
Thank you.
Cheryl, then Laura.
No, I'm done.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry that we're inconveniencing you. I didn't realize you'd be so upset by these questions, but I have one also. And my question is, I see one tree has been planted on Jefferson down by close to Bronson. And I'm wondering, there are two wells across from each other on the same side of the street. So are they gonna fill the wells that have the iron grates around them, or are they kind of hit and missing?
No, let me just be clear, Ms. Johnson. I am not adverse to answering any of the questions regarding trees, first of all. The city cannot plant, no one can plant any trees where there are cages or grates. They have to be removed. As on Washington Boulevard, where we're going to put trees, we're waiting for CD10 to remove some of those grates and those cages.
Laura?
Yeah, and yes, I could post, but it's in the agenda packet. There's an actual map of where the trees are, which one's where, and a list of tree permits. And this was, the city selected the site. So there's more than 25, you and I as just neighbors, we can walk up and down the street. We see lots of places we think trees can go, but they have a lot of criteria. So even something as simple as the curb is broken, they will not plant a tree next to a broken curb, because at some point, maybe in our lifetime, they'll find the money to fix the curb, but that would disturb the tree. So they won't plant the new tree there. So we struggled to find, literally in that whole long thing, it was a big struggle to find 25 viable locations. And it took this long, 2 years to do so.
Cheryl, did you have another question? Your hand is still up.
Oh, no, didn't. Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments? Seeing none, Teresa, Lizzie?
Yes, to Teresa or Laura, have we found out when the CCC is going to, if the contract becomes a reality, when they would start watering and taking care of the trees?
They should have already started, Lizzie. I received an email from them. They are the provider for watering and maintenance for the first year. I mean, without any other consideration of other things going on. So, and I have that email. After I received a letter from Helen today, I reached out to him, and I'm meeting with Urban Forestry tomorrow. So they have a little more pull when it comes to making sure that these trees are maintained the way they should be.
Yes, thank you so much.
Right, and our
comments?
I was just going to supplement that, Dolores. Our funds are for the overall project in all 3 years, not for tomorrow. They're not going to have, if we vote yes today, they're not going to have the money tomorrow. This is additional funds. They have a contract now.
Again, any other comments or questions? Seeing none, Teresa, will you call the roll, please?
Yes.
Wait. Do we have a motion? I'm losing track. We don't. We need a motion.
Oh, sorry. We did. I would entertain a motion to support this project.
Second, Doreen.
Well, we need a first. We need a motion.
I thought Dolores just made it.
Dolores just
Sorry.
said that she would do it. Dolores moved. Laura?
Move to
Okay,
support
got it.
this. Yes. And who's second?
Dorit.
Dorit?
Yep.
Teresa, call the roll.
I guess the protocol says that we have to open it for discussion, just to make sure.
Yeah.
Any
is
more
there any-
discussion?
We got to do what?
Once we have a motion and we have a second, we then say any discussion. If there's no discussion, then we take the roll.
We just had a discussion.
We still have to say it, Dolores.
Are there any other questions or regarding this project?
Love a tree, love a tree, love a tree.
Shut up, Greg.
Why you talk to me like
Yes,
that?
Thank
that
you,
was
Greg.
just a
Thank you.
delayer.
We needed that.
Oh my goodness.
I know you're just poking at me. You're poking at me.
Not you, not poking at you.
Call the roll, Teresa,
Okay.
please.
Please.
Lizzie,
Yes.
Sarah Lacy,
Yes.
Greg Jackson,
Yes.
is Chris back? Michael,
Yes.
Teresa's a yes. Corinne?
Yes.
Dennis? Oh, Dennis is absent. Grace?
Yes.
Paula?
Yes.
Sarah Long Henry?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Charlie?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Raheem?
Yes.
Dolores?
Yes.
Dorit?
Yep.
And Jasmine?
Yeah.
Okay, the motion passes. Thank you.
So I'm turning the gavel back over to President Laura.
Thank you very much. And did I see John Arnold here for a moment, or was that just me imagining things? But anybody? I guess the answer is no, I did not. All right. So the next item, number 11, is appoint additional UNNC CIS or Community Impact Statement filers. Now, because of the change, I mean, it's 6 months later, but after the election, I am a CIS filer. I do see John. And the other 2 CIS filers are no longer on the board. So it's we need to have up to 5 filers, I believe. And if I'm wondering who else would like to be a person who gets credentialed and gets the access to the city clerk's portal to file our community impact statements. And that's not just the ones necessarily to city council, but it would also sometimes be to a commission. If we have a resolution and we want to speak with the 5 minutes or 4 minutes at a commission hearing, it would be that. So normally how I got the credential in the first place was because of my role at planning and zoning. I just kept it as president, which is not a bad thing. Normally we would have the chair of planning and zoning, the chair of the community impact statement committee, which we don't have one, and maybe the secretary. But what I'd like to know is who would like to take on this task, if anyone, and if anyone wants to be added, then we basically vote you in and we fill out a form and we submit it to Dunn. So I'm going to say, Dorit, do you want to be added? John, do you want to be added?
No, can I ask a question? Can
Sure.
I ask a question?
Mhm.
What skill set does one need to have? Does one need to have to be able to understand Google Docs? Or is this a Word document? Because I'd like to do it, but I'm not going to volunteer to do something that I do not
Right.
have the skill set to do.
What it requires is being able to easily log in. I'm joking. Easily log into the city clerk's portal and then go from there in terms of filling out the form, and then a copy paste of a non-formatted, the words that we have passed, but it actually ends up being not formatted rather than formatted, and making sure that the text that you're copying and pasting into a form on the internet, on the city's website, making sure it does not exceed 2,000 characters and spaces. So we try very hard at this level to not pass something that doesn't fit that. So it's sometimes a matter of coordination, but it's not Google Docs. It's actually the opposite. It's being able to-
Sorry, and I'm sorry to be such a bother and to take up so much time.
No problem.
But we have to be able, the person who has this assignment would have to be able to go into the board's Google Doc system and be able to pull one of those Google Doc things to be able to post it, right?
No, I think not necessarily. I mean, Teresa or I could send it, we can just send the other filers, here it is, from the board meeting. You wouldn't have to go into Google Docs and copy and paste because we might have adjusted it anyway at the board.
Thanks for answering the question. I appreciate it.
Okay. And Greg, I think somebody asked a question, how much time does it take? it doesn't take that much time except when the system's not working. And then it takes an awful lot of time because you're trying it over and over and over again. And then a week later, you realize it never went anywhere and you try again. Am I saying that right? So in theory, it's 5 minutes unless it's not.
And what about the training part for this? You said there's certification, or it's just nomination and then name submitted?
There's a form I'll have to fill out if we have 3 more names to add, and then you'll need to put me back. I mean, once we submit the form, I assume you're going to put my name back on it. And then the fella at Dunn will send out the credentials, and there is, I think Dunn has a written training. It's not a training.
A written training, like 1 page or 57
like a
pages?
here's how you do it. Click here, click there. But honestly, it's not that hard.
Is it something, barring anyone volunteering, is it something that we could consider, like rotating 1 month, one person has it, next month another person has it?
Well, here's the thing. I personally think we need at least 1 more person, and we need that 1 more person tonight. And the reason is sometime soonish, we are going to have one to file that I am conflicted out on. So I can't even file it. And I've already been told by Dunn, even though Janie, who was our other filer and is very, fine to do it, that she cannot because she's not on the board. So at minimum, 1 person, really, I'm begging, needs to say, I'll do it along with you, even if all they're doing is backing me up, so that when it comes, there's always a chance somebody's going to have a conflict of interest. And that person therefore cannot file the CIS.
I'm willing to do it for 2 months, but I'm willing to do it for 2 months with the mindset I'm going to try to recruit others to learn how to do it.
Right. Well, I do see a chat that Sarah Long Henry says she's willing to do it.
Sarah's great.
Okay. Do we want to do a motion to reconfirm Laura Myers and vote in Sarah Long Henry as the 2 CIS filers?
Yes.
Who moves?
I move. I
I second.
Okay, wait. Great. Greg moves, and I didn't even see who seconds.
Dolores.
Yeah, okay.
And Teresa has a question.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you, Paula. Dorit, I feel like you have a lot of
yeah.
commitment to this.
But I don't think I have the skill set. I just can't use these blasted machines. And what Laura just described about it being really aggravating to try to post them is just going to send me into a tizzy of cursing and screaming and questioning my existence on this planet. So I will do a lot of other things, but when it comes to these devices and all that, I just don't have the skill set, but thank you.
Okay, well,
because hold on, Laura, please, excuse me. I think it would be if Laura would provide a tutorial and sit down with you to go over the process, maybe that would help. But I just know that you've done it in the past, and I think it would be helpful to the board to have your skill with this.
Teresa, thank you so much, but frankly, I don't have the skill set to do that. I don't. I can write a CES. I follow all the city council motions that are coming down, but I don't have the skill set to post things if it's what Laura just described. And it really would be better for somebody who is younger and smarter with these computers than I can ever be. But thank you so much for your faith in me.
Okay.
okay, well, we have a motion, we have a second, and if we have
Let's
no
vote.
other discussion, we should do a vote. Or if there is any further discussion, I think we could do the vote.
Okay.
Call the question.
Other question.
You want me? Am I reading the motion again, or we're just?
I posted the motion, but I could say Greg moved, Dolores seconded, that Laura, that'd be me, is reconfirmed as a CIS filer, and Sarah Long Henry also to be a new CIS filer. And again, if we pass this motion, there is a form that needs to be filled out, and I don't even remember who has to sign it, but it'll need some signatures, and I'll send it in to Dunn.
Okay, so I'll take the roll. Jasmine Johnson,
Yes.
Dorit,
Yes.
Dolores,
Yes.
Raheem,
Yep.
Taylor,
Yes.
Charlie,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Paula,
Yes.
Grace,
Yes.
Karine,
Yes.
Teresa's also a yes, Michael,
Yes.
Chris, Greg,
Yes.
Sarah Lacy,
Yes.
Lizzie,
Yes, and thank you to Laura and Sarah.
and John.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, next item 12, Teresa, this is you, I think. Appoint ad hoc committee on UNNC's pending 20th anniversary.
Thank you, Laura. I recently attended another organization having a 30th anniversary, and I started wondering when the UNNC was formed, and at least Laura informed me that it was about 20 years ago, either 2022 or 2023. She's going to get the exact date. Anyway, I thought maybe it'd be a good idea for us to have an ad hoc committee so we could have some events celebrating our 20th anniversary. So I brought it to executive and we agreed. So we're bringing it to the board now for discussion and maybe confirmation on having an ad hoc and selecting members for that committee.
Right. And on a technical basis, we can have up to, but no more than six board members on an ad hoc committee. We could supplement that with a stakeholder non-board member or two if needed. Lizzie.
I would like to volunteer to be part of it.
Thank you. And Raheem, I would hope you would like to volunteer too, because I think if you can, because I know we're all asking the same people to do more and more and more, but it does seem to be a communications and an outreach. Karine.
I volunteer as well.
Well, Karine had her hand up. Karine?
Yes. Yes, that's a yes for me.
Oh, you would like to volunteer. I better start writing
Yes.
this down.
Mhm.
Okay.
Is Teresa volunteering? She brought it up.
Certainly, I mean, yes, it's my idea, but you know, there are people who've been involved in the board much longer than I have who may want to do that. If we're going to limit it to 6 board members or whatever Laura said, then I don't want to take that away. But yeah, if we need to, certainly I'd want to be on that.
Okay, well, what I have right now, because I'm not putting in Raheem, is 4, Lizzie, Dolores, Karine, Teresa, and I too would be willing to do it, but I love it when other people do it. So if nobody else wants to do it.
Michael, can I volunteer you as a fellow West Adams Avenues person?
Not a good person for volunteering at this time. I'm knee deep in 2 developments and I'm working right now, just listening. Sorry.
Okay.
Well, like I said, I would be happy to be involved, but I also really like the idea of other people doing things.
We're
But
not for, you don't have to if you don't want to, Laura.
it's not about want or not want. It's about maybe leaving the 2 spaces open because maybe next month 2 other people will volunteer. So why don't we, this right now, if we want to vote for this, it'd be an ad hoc committee for the 20th anniversary. Starts with Lizzie, Dolores, Karine, and Teresa. maybe we can get some of the state former board members who are still around who can provide that 20-year perspective to also be on the committee. Now I have a hand, Teresa.
Thank you. Sandra, do you want to work on this committee with us?
Was that a yes?
Yes. Oh, yes, I had to unmute myself again. Yeah, sure. Thank you. Yes.
Okay. Oops, not ad hoc. Well, maybe that is right. Okay, so now it'd be 5 people: Lizzie, Dolores, Karina, Teresa, and Sandra. And if there's nothing else, I'd like to take a vote. Okay, for Dolores, do you think we need a BAC on this? Yeah.
Why don't we do it just to be on the safe side?
All right, Teresa, can you call the roll? Thank you.
I have one ready.
Okay.
Jasmine?
Yes.
Dorit?
Yes.
Dolores?
Yes.
Raheem?
Yep.
Taylor?
Yes.
Charlie?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Sarah Long Henry?
Yes.
Paula?
Yes.
Grace?
Yes.
Lolita? Karine?
Yes.
Teresa is also a yes. Michael?
Yes.
Greg?
I'll need to abstain as I was out part of the discussion.
Okay. Sarah Lacy?
Yes.
Lizzie?
Yes.
And John?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So the next item is, everybody's joy. Appoint an ad hoc committee on bylaws revision. So you heard what Gibson had said, that the due date is April 1st. We will not be able to make the April 1st deadline based on the way our bylaws are currently written, but we will be able to make an April 8th deadline unless Dunn reinterprets our bylaws, but we do need to put together an ad hoc committee. I'm not sure of Nancy's status. She wanted to work on this. So I'm just not sure of her geographic status, if she's still eligible to be on our board or not, but she's certainly eligible to work by email on an ad hoc committee either way. So again, is there anybody else besides myself and Nancy? It'd be ideal if at least one other person, since we
I
don't.
got my hand up. I'd love to be on it.
Okay, so, and Greg has his hand up. For a comment or volunteering?
I was volunteering.
I'm sorry, yes, volunteering?
See.
Good. Greg, Dorit, Laura. I'm putting Nancy Cruz, but it's a question mark. And is there anybody else who would like to, this is gonna be fast work. And Grace. Okay, so the motion would be to appoint Greg, Grace, Dorit, Laura, and Nancy Cruz as an ad hoc bylaws committee. That Laura moves to appoint. Is there a
I'll
second?
it. Dorit seconds.
Okay. And just before we vote, and even though an ad hoc committee is permitted not to have Brown Act compliant meetings, I would hope that we actually do have Brown Act, in other words, publicize them and have Brown Act compliant meetings. But let's, if there's no further discussion, let's vote. Teresa.
Okay. John?
Yes.
Lizzie?
Yes.
Sarah Lacy?
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Teresa's a yes, Corinne,
Yes.
Grace,
Yes.
Paula. Paula,
She's visibly not in the room.
okay. Sarah Long Henry,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Charlie,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Raheem,
Yes.
Dolores,
Yes.
Dorit,
Yes.
Jasmine.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, John Arnold is here, and
do it.
I pass the gavel to John for our planning and zoning
No
section.
need a bio break, Laura. Okay, I have 40 minutes and let's try to do it in 30.
Right,
Okay.
and John, we did table item
Yes.
14C.
Yes,
Okay.
great, thank you. So first, so we have a number of items. Let's go for 10 minutes for the first two and 10 minutes for the last. Anyway, let's see what we can do. So the first up, we have an applicant in for Destino Restaurant at 3224 Venice. This is a CUB for wine and beer permit that's for the previous restaurant that was on the site where the owner has passed away. God bless him. And the new owner is reapplying per the rules to extend the CUB alcohol sale ABC beer and wine license to their restaurant, Destino. So Jack is here. He presented to us last night, and we have a motion. We have a recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Committee to support, excuse me if I pronounce this wrong, Mr. Gushan's application for the ABC license. So I'll hand the gavel over to, not gavel, but the presentation rights over to Jack. Jack, please tell us about your application and what you're doing. And
good evening, everyone. First of all, pleasure. Thank you so much for your time. So I basically took over the restaurant about 3 months ago. Actually, 6 months ago. We opened up 3 months ago, and it is a modern Latin cuisine. Next week, I plan on changing it a little bit, tweaking it up. We are a sit-down, full-service dining. Everything is house-made, in-house made, 90% of the product. Just bringing, I could just say, Beverly Hills to the mid-city area. Very nice and authentic Latin cuisine, and I'm hoping that I could get the beer and wine to accompany the cuisine.
Thanks, Jack. So we had a good discussion yesterday. We asked the applicant a lot of questions about the nature of the restaurant. We did get out of him that it is an upgrade from what was there previously. No judgment on what was there previously, but this is a sit-down restaurant, on-site consumption only, so no carryout. And you heard Mr. Gushan's description of the restaurant himself. Got some testimony for people who had been there and positive attitudes towards the restaurant. And we unanimously voted to recommend support for this. Laura.
Yeah, so just to tell everybody technically, there's 2 different processes in this city for serving beer and wine at restaurants. One is with the planning department, a land use thing called the conditional use permit for alcohol, and it ends up being called a CUB, like beverage, and that runs with the land. So Jack already has that because it runs with the land. The other piece is what the state requires, and it's the actual liquor license. So technically, this is a application to transfer the liquor license itself from the deceased restaurant owner to the new restaurant owner. And the city council office asked, requested that we put this on the agenda because they would like to know what UNNC's position is before they also express their position. But of course, I would want us to express our position directly to ABC and not just to the council office.
So the motion is to support all of the above. And I make that motion. Is that correct, Laura? Do I make that?
Yeah,
motion?
you make the motion on behalf of planning and zoning, but it needs a second from
Can I have
each
a
of us.
Second it.
Second,
second it.
second from Greg, thank you. Any questions, discussions, curiosities about this application?
My hand is up.
Was that Paula?
Dolores.
Oh, Dolores, sorry. Dolores.
I've been to this restaurant. It is really nice. The folks there are professional. The food is delicious, and I would be in support of this motion.
Great, thank you very much, Dolores. Michael?
Do we all get to eat there for free?
Oh my gosh, strike that from the record. Please take your ethics training over again.
Yes, no bribes.
So that was all in jest. Jack.
Absolutely.
Any other questions, comments, concerns?
Food is so good.
Teresa.
Thank you, John. I also want to agree with Dolores. The food is delicious. I've eaten there several times, and I am in support of them obtaining the license.
And apart from deliciousness, I just say it seems like this is an improvement. Not, again, no judgment, but it seems like it's a restaurant that wants to be a good establishment in our neighborhood, and won't be anything that we don't want it to be.
I did say professional, and it was nice besides delicious.
Thank you.
So well-behaved, follow
Okay.
the rules.
Can we call for the vote?
Let's call for the vote. Teresa.
Yes, thank you, John. Jasmine,
Yes.
Dorit,
No.
Dolores,
Yes.
Raheem,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Charlie,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Sarah Long Henry,
Yes.
Paula,
Yes.
Grace,
Yes.
Kareen,
Yes.
Teresa's also a yes. Michael,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Sarah Lacy,
Yes.
Lizzie,
Yes.
and John.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. Good luck with your new endeavor.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you.
Much success to you. And thank you for coming to our neighborhood.
Thank you, guys.
Next up, we have a CIS that we've discussed twice at Planning and Zoning Committee. It is in regards to council file number 220029. It was put forth by Paul Krikorian.
Yeah.
Basically has, Laura, can you pull that up?
Yeah, because I was gonna say I formalized it, so let me pull it up. While you keep talking though.
So it's basically the city wanting to hold accountable landowners that abandon their properties, and those properties become nuisances. They catch on fire. They cause the city costs to fight fires. They present hazards to the health, safety, and welfare for entire communities. And they cost the city a lot of money, if I didn't say that earlier. But so the motion is what we had, this abbreviated version up above. The motion, no, Laura, can you scroll back up to the top?
Sure, that wasn't the motion, that's the description.
I know, that's the description. So the council file, the request is, because our response is to support this, but add to it, which you'll see in a second. So it's to require or to instruct the city attorney to prepare in conjunction with DBS, fire department, an ordinance requiring property owners to protect vacant properties from fire vacant for 180 days and create an inspection program, and to make property owners liable for the costs resulting from fires at their vacant structures. And it's also to put fire life safety equipment into the buildings is another part of that as well. So there is to have action, a program and inspections to support it, and then fines to punish those who flaunt it. or not flaunt it, but cause things, fires happen anyway. So this is particularly cogent to our, is that the right word? Applicable to the UNNC neighborhood because we've lost several houses over the past, or so there's been several fires with several losses over the past year or two. And so we wrote the CIS, which is right here. Should I read it? Probably take about 2 minutes.
Ask the board.
Should
You
I read it or
want-
do I-
Yeah, so guys, we
we
did,
can read it ourselves.
okay.
Okay,
Yes, we have.
okay, take a minute to read it. And then I'll tell you what the discussions were about, how we amended it and tweaked it for the committee's members' concerns.
I do have a question, John.
Yes, please.
We have a situation in our little neck of the woods where not only we have a problem with all of this that's in this CIS, but the owners don't want to take responsibility for outside of the area. Say like you got trash that's alongside, that's on the public sidewalk, but right next to their building. Would that fit in here anywhere?
It would. So what that was part of our discussion. So if you go to the very bottom, item number 6, that all the avenues and alternatives to securing a property or building are explored, including caretaking, temporary occupancy, continuous utility service, and building site maintenance. Very last word right there.
Okay.
So we thought our discussions revolved mostly around, we originally thought it would be appropriate to always have a building occupied, but there was some concern about that, about forcing people to have people in the buildings. So then we added number 6, which was to have alternatives to that, which was, security, caretaking, whatever you can do to secure the building. And no matter what it is. So, and then have the city attorney craft language that gives owners options, but just to make sure it happens. And again, we kept reminding the Planning and Zoning Committee, we aren't legislating here, we're putting ideas out that expand upon the original motion put forward. And so the 1 through 6 at the bottom, those are our ideas to make it clearer, cleaner, and applicable to our situation.
This is Dorita. I got my hand up.
Yes,
And,
Doris, thank you.
point 3,
Mhm.
that the city council clarify differing standards between residential and commercial buildings. By the way, I love the CIS. Thank you so much. It's wonderful. But could you explain number 3 to me, please?
Yeah,
And thank you.
so it was unclear to us. There's fires in commercial buildings and there's fires in residential buildings. And it seems like it wasn't quite clear where they were targeting the action. And plus, if there's a vacant office building downtown, it doesn't seem like that fits the intent of what was happening in fires and neglect. So I think as long as our thought was to really make a differentiation between, to clarify the intent. If something isn't leasing for 8 months in a commercial building, what does that mean? Or is it a house that's been vacated in preparation for demolition or future development, and they're just letting it sit there, or they're being a little more diabolical than that, letting it sit there so it rots into the ground or burns, and then they can have a little more freedom to do what they want. So I think there was a whole lot of things, but we just wanted that to be clear in the intent of whatever the city council passes.
Lizzie has her hand up.
Lizzie?
Yes, so again, this is related to what Dolores just brought up. We have this abandoned building that has been taken over by some unhoused individuals. So we understand that there's a no trespassing sign that needs to be renewed ever so often. And because this particular building doesn't have it, the police are saying, oh, we cannot go in. So is there a provision here that would also enforce that? Because apparently the owners have not been keeping it current.
So that was part of the original motion, is to have If you look up in the we agree paragraph, these are the things that the council file motion has in it as a kind of an idea. Provide life safety equipment at the city, create inspection programs to ensure compliance. That property owners are responsible for costs and damages. So I think it falls in there with ensures compliance, but it sounds to me like that's kind of a unshackling of the police or inspectors to really make sure that this happens, and people just don't throw their hands up and say, oh, I can't do anything. There's also, we suggested number 2, that to have a building vacant, you need to have a permit for that. So you need to go down and say, my building will be vacant for 6 months, and this is what I'm doing to secure it. You need to get a permit for that. And then whatever the inspection process is on that would follow. I think it's a good question though, but how do you have everyone not throw up their hands and say, okay, sera, sera?
Yes.
Or
Well, yeah, and remember, we have to comply with the community impact statement rules of no more than 2,000 letters and spaces between words. So 2,000 characters and spaces. It turns out to be really hard because we could write 4 pages on this.
By the way, there's an extra space there that you could save.
Yes, well, I'm sure there's a few. Right, but that's why the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is so hard to read, because we can't take the space, but B, when you file it, all those spaces fall away anyway, and it becomes one big long paragraph. So, but yeah, I mean, we could write, just in our experience here in UNNC, we could write a long, long letter, and maybe next month we should, but we're also on a bit of a deadline because the mover, Paul Krikorian, asked or instructed the city attorney to come back within 30 days. Well, that's an ambitious timeline, but they may well come back in February. So that's why we did.
I think it's a good addition. And if we can find the 100 characters to put it in, I don't know where they're from. I wrote this, so I'm kind of like, I don't know where they come from.
Well, you're at the 1,000 something 92, right?
This is really good work. Are we ready to vote on this?
Thank you.
Yes.
Really good work.
The motion is, we didn't have a motion or a second. So the motion is made by the Planning and Zoning Committee that I'll be making on its behalf to send this as a CIS and Laura as a.
Well, no, at this point, just adopt this CIS as presented.
As presented.
Second.
Thank you, Dolores. Okay, let's call the question.
Okay, so we're ready to go take the vote?
Yep.
Okay. Jasmine?
Yes.
Dorit?
Yes.
Dolores?
Yes.
Raheem?
Yep.
Taylor?
Yes.
Charlie?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Sarah Long Henry?
Yes.
Paula?
Yes, and please stop share.
I didn't hear that second part. You said yes, right, Paula?
I said yes, I said stop the share.
Oh, stop the share.
Start to share. Thank you.
Grace?
Yes.
Kareen?
Yes.
And Teresa's also yes. Michael?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Sarah Lacy?
Yes.
Lizzie?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Okay.
Great, thank you, everybody. Next up, we have a new as of last month, Transportation Committee, subcommittee to the Planning and Zoning Committee, which is being chaired by Taylor Fife. And he has 3 motions to put forth this evening from the Transportation Committee, which we talked about last night. So I'm going to hand the gavel over to Taylor. And Taylor, you got 15 minutes and we can beat our things in 5 minutes apiece.
All right. I think we can do it. All right. Thank you, John. So the first one we have is, so the motion is to support, I'll start the motion actually, is to send this letter to a number of local leaders in support of a bike lane on Ballona Creek. So the context for this is that there are a number of advocacy groups, Culver City Forward, Streets for All, Ballona Creek Renaissance Bike Culver City, who are getting together to lobby for this idea of creating this bike path. They hired a landscape landscape design firm called SWA to make this cool presentation. This is not a proposal by any government entity. It has no funding. The county's not involved. The city's not involved. This path, actually, this area is maintained by the Army Corps of Engineers. They're not involved. This is totally just an idea that some bike advocates have. So I'll run through this super quick. You guys are aware of Ballona Creek. There's a cool bike path on it that goes from the ocean, but then it stops at Jefferson, where Jefferson makes a sharp 90-degree turn where it meets National. So apparently, according to these advocacy groups, it was originally intended to follow the rest of the creek up to Venice. It doesn't do that today. So they put together, here's a map. They put this together. It's got a lot of cool images, and I won't get into any details here because there's no funding and this isn't a real plan by a government agency. I encourage you to check this out. So this is the motion, or this is the letter that we would be sending. It says that we support extending the bike lane. This part that I highlighted is a change from last night after discussion, which says we support the bike lane, such as the one proposed at finishthecreek.org. That's the website that this group is using. And then I talk about the two major bike lanes in our area that go east-west. That's Exposition Boulevard and Venice Boulevard. Both of those bike lanes would connect with this path. Neither of those bike lanes connect to each other today. So you have a stub of bike lanes that don't create a network. So that's what the next paragraph is about, is explaining that the bike lanes in our neighborhood don't have robust connectivity. And then this wouldn't be a cost or nothing would have to be like bulldozed or removed. This space is unimproved at the moment. It's frontage roads, it's dirt, it's the creek. So this would be a dramatic improvement to the area. And then another thing that we added last night. So these highlights are just in case you did read this motion already. You can see what we talked about last night. So we wanted to end this with a call to action that regional organizations should begin the process of community outreach, planning, sourcing funds. Might take them a while. I think this project's going to be expensive, but no better time than the present to start. And
Great, thanks, Taylor.
Very good.
So the motion is on the floor by Taylor to adopt this letter in support of a bike path extension from National up to Venice.
Dorit has her hand up.
And do I have a second first before we can continue?
I'll second it, but I also have a question.
Okay, Dorit, thank you. Please.
If you're ready for my question, it's a comment. This is awesome. I really want this to happen. I'm like jumping up and down, excited about it, but I want us to be very, very, very cautious about things like this that could bring on gentrification or even make gentrification worse. We saw it in certain parts of the LA River when the idea of it improving the LA River was happening. Tenants were starting to get evicted from, long-term tenants were getting evicted from property they lived in by the river because of developers wanting that space. So let's approve this, but then let's be really cautious and try to make sure long-term residents don't get booted out because of improvements. Thank you.
Great. Any other questions, comments, concerns, amendments? Requests? Okay, hearing none.
Wait.
Oh, Laura.
Yeah, just briefly. I mean, one of the reasons we added community outreach near the end is we did have a community member who lives exactly in one of the pockets that Dorit's referencing, saying that while she thought this was a great idea, there's been no outreach. She's never received a flyer or any communication. So I think when you have community buy-in, it may or may not stop gentrification, but at least it's a full-on community project.
Thanks, Laura. Any other questions, comments? So we have a motion by Taylor. It was seconded by Dorit to adopt this letter and send it to the agency. We'll listen to it in support of this aspirational idea. I say we call the question.
Wait, before you do.
Doors.
I'm just curious, isn't this outside of UNNC's area? And the second portion would be, what about community input? What do the people that live along that area say about it?
So that's what we added to that letter, to the letter, we say to include community input and community outreach. And Taylor, do you want to talk to the point about it's outside of our zone, but how it affects us?
Yeah, definitely. So bike lanes, we're mostly when you're traveling, I'm sure when we travel, you're mostly not traveling just within your area, but within the UNNC area. With cars, it's really easy to get around. All the streets connect to each other. With biking, bikers are not so lucky in LA. You stick to bike paths. We only have 3 bike lanes in our area, and like I said, they don't connect to each other. So adding bike connectivity is massively, it's a huge gap that we have today, and it really prevents biking from being viable for the most part in all of LA, but certainly our area. So this connects to if you can see my cursor here, that's Jefferson. So there is a little bike path on there, and then it connects to a bike lane. Then at Harcourt, it switches over to Expo, and that cuts all the way through our entire footprint along Exposition Boulevard. So this immediately creates a new path north and a whole new area of the city that can be accessed by bikers. And then same thing on Venice Boulevard. That bike lane goes through our footprint until it stops at Arlington. So again, you get a whole new network of places that you can travel via bike.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? So I say we call the question. Teresa?
John Arnold,
Yes.
Lizzie,
Yes.
Sarah Lacy,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Teresa is also a yes. Corrine,
Yes.
Grace,
Yes.
Paula,
Yes.
Sarah Long Henry,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Charlie,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Raheem,
Yep.
Dolores,
Abstain.
Dorit,
Yes.
and Jasmine.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Taylor.
Okay, this next one is about a bus lane. So this one is an actual proposal by Metro. So this is a real thing that is they're planning on installing supposedly in the spring of 2022. They haven't given an exact date, but this is supposed to be coming soon. So it's a new bus lane on La Brea. So this is from Metro's website about the project. So this is one of the main things that they talk about a lot with this bus lane is that the people that would be served or that are currently served by buses, 80% of Metro bus riders are people of color. They're mostly female, mostly below the poverty line. Another important thing to know about bus lanes is their capacity. So you just can move a lot more people through a bus lane, through a lane that's dedicated for buses. Than one that just has vehicles with 1 to 2 people in them. They installed some bus lanes recently on Flower Street, which have been quite successful. And then before I get to the map, I just have one last slide, which is they did a survey of La Brea. 3 out of 4 people using this bus lane don't have a car. Bus is their only way to get around. 90% are people of color, 40% are below the poverty line. And then they use the bus very frequently. So it's really their primary mode of transportation. So jumping to the map, it would go on La Brea, it would go from Coliseum to Sunset. The idea here too, this wouldn't actually remove so the configuration of the street today is that there is a travel lane during rush hour, and then it's parking at night at weekends and then midday. So they would retain the parking during these times. You would still be able to park morning, night, weekends, and then between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. But then during rush hour, it would be a bus only lane. The actual letter is very, very short that we want to send, just a few sentences. We enthusiastically support the bus lane. Our area lacks viable north-south routes for non-motorists. There's a north-south route for a bus on Western. The Arlington bus route does not go all the way through. The Crenshaw bus route does a weird hook around on Western. So the only direct north-south bus routes in our area are Western, and then La Brea is the next one over. That's mentioned here in this highlighted sentence that we added last night. And then the last thing I'll point out is that I had originally put in here that we encouraged Metro to extend the operational hours to include that 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. section, but the committee decided to remove that and keep the parking for midday shoppers, people getting lunch on La Brea.
So the motion by Taylor is to put this letter forward to support the rush hour bus lane that would be located in the parking lane, which is now a travel lane during rush hour. Would revert back to parking in the midday, and then back to a bus lane during rush hour. So that is the motion to support this idea from Metro. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Great, thanks. Any questions? Second by Greg, thank you. Any questions, concerns, comments, Sandra?
Okay, yes, I'm not clear. Sorry I didn't make it to the meeting, but you're saying between on La Brea from Coliseum?
Yes,
Taylor?
from Coliseum at the south to Sunset in the north.
So the parking during the day, there's already a parking problem over there, and there's already a great deal of traffic. The people who drive their
this would not
cars-
impact, just to clarify, this wouldn't impact the parking. It would remove a travel lane during rush hour.
There's already congestion with the traffic. Have you been there recently? They're actually a little bit further up working on some lane on the going south on La Brea. Where is that from? I think right past Coliseum, going south up the hill to Overhill. And they have, the DWP has it blocked off right now, and the traffic is horrendous. And if you look on Nextdoor, people are constantly complaining about the traffic. So taking away a lane for the bus would make the traffic even worse. If you guys have ever experienced that traffic over there. Have you, Taylor?
Yes, so I do drive in this area. So from the Metro presentation, so they've done an analysis on this. So you can take a look at the presentation. So they actually think that the bus lane will improve traffic conditions, even for drivers north of San Vicente. So this is because today the bus and the motorists drive in the same lanes, but the bus has to stop. So when the bus stops for people to pick them up and drop them off, then motorists turn into the middle lane, and it creates a chain reaction of people braking for that person.
Yes.
And then they weave back in. So they actually think that north of San Vicente, this would make traffic better. I think this is I don't know how they determine this. I don't know that much about the studies. South of San Vicente, they think this would add 3 minutes to car travel times. If you drove all the way from Coliseum to San Vicente, you would get an additional 3 minutes. This is considerably less time than people in buses would save.
And so, and I think, Sandra, you're talking about Overhill, you're talking about the construction part. I don't know what that is. I've encountered that as well. That's south of Coliseum. That goes up over the hill. Is that what you're referring to?
Okay, yeah. So we're talking down below that.
Yeah, this is north of there entirely. Yeah.
Okay. I think that they're trying to push people into the opinion to ride in the bus. That California is not LA is not a place where people ride the bus. And what they think is convenient. I mean, I feel it for the people who have to ride the bus, but it's not a good idea, but okay.
Great, thanks.
Traffic is way too busy. It's just too much traffic over there. But,
thanks, Sandra. Paula?
Oh, yes, Sarah had her hand up, but I just wanted to make that point. She was talking about La Brea, and the Coliseum is south of where you're talking about. And if this is approved, this is going to be years, Taylor. When might this become, if it's approved, a reality?
This is already approved. It's already been approved. Metro's already planning it, and they're supposed to do it in spring of this year. So we should expect it to happen within the next few months.
Okay, so we are supporting it's already happened.
Yeah, they've already done the analysis, done the studies, and are planning it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah.
I feel like personally, if it's already been approved, whatever. I think it's a stupid idea, quite frankly. But that's not because I have a problem with buses. It's because La Brea between 10 and Obama is already awful. And okay, it's great north of San Vicente. That doesn't help our neighborhood.
Not at all. Not at all.
Thanks, Sarah. Reach.
I'm going to support this. I do ride the bus. I know that if you have the option to drive a car or ride a bus, you are most likely going to drive a car unless taking the bus is really, really, really easy. Having a dedicated bus lane will make riding the bus riding the bus easier for a lot of people. More people ride the bus, there will be less traffic. And Taylor, we also have a north-south bus line on Normandy. It goes all the way into Hollywood as well. It's a number 206. So there is more than just the one on Western.
Great. Thanks, Dorit. Grace.
Wondering how they knew that San Vicente North, it would be, quicker. San Vicente South, it's longer. Do you have any answers to that one, Taylor?
So the study they were showing, I think it's in this deck somewhere. I think so. This is the part where they're talking about cars weaving in and out of traffic. But they said that, let me just look for the word San Vicente in here. But yeah, they said that above San Vicente, the roads are actually not, I can't search within here. They said that the roads are not at the point where they are, they would be impacted by a lane reduction. There's not actually enough people driving and enough cars there's enough capacity with 2 lanes to move the same number of people that they're moving now. That's why they think it would actually be an improvement to traffic conditions.
Great, thanks. Any other questions or?
Yeah, if I may, it is 10:04.
Yep. So hearing none, so we have a motion on the floor from Taylor to support this letter of support for the proposed bus lane on La Brea. I think it was seconded by Greg. So without any further ado, let's call the question.
Okay. Jasmine?
Abstain.
You said abstain, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Dorit?
Yes.
Dolores?
It's not that I'm against it. I'm just not clear on it, so I have to abstain.
Raheem,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Charlie,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes. Yes.
Sarah Long Henry,
Abstain.
Paula,
Yes.
Grace,
Yes.
Kareen,
Abstain.
Teresa is a yes. Michael,
Abstain.
Greg,
Yes.
Sarah Lacy,
Yes.
Lizzie,
Yes.
John.
Yes. Awesome. Okay, next we have our final item.
Wait, what's the count on that?
We have 5 abstentions. 13 yeses.
Okay, thank you.
So that,
Yes, it did. Taylor, the last item on the planning.
Last one. Hopefully this is the fastest one. It's got a long backstory though, so I apologize. In 2015, the LA City Council passed a plan called the Mobility Plan 2035. It's a very long document. It's 202 pages. It's really wild. It's very detailed. Talks about a very comprehensive transportation plan for Los Angeles. I'm just jumping straight to some maps here because that's the funnest part. They have a proposal here. These are what they call transit enhanced streets, things like street trees, wider sidewalks, curb cuts, some bus lanes, some bike lanes, all kinds of interesting things. You'd have to read the whole 202-page document. You can see a lot of stuff in our neighborhood, Crenshaw, Western, Washington. There's a whole map dedicated to where they want to put bike lanes in. It's incredibly comprehensive. It even has places where they want to enhance streets for vehicles. So you can see one in our neighborhood on Olympic. So this is very big plan. The city has, despite passing it 7 years ago, hasn't done very much implementation. You may be thinking to yourself, do I recognize any changes on Olympic or on Crenshaw or in any of the streets of the map? And the city has not really done much. So an advocacy group has written an initiative that they're trying to get on the ballot that would require the city to implement the mobility plan when streets are being repaved. So this should be in the packet. So hopefully you guys have read it. It's a little too long to go over. But the gist of it is that whenever a street's going to be repaved, they check to see if it's on the mobility plan, and then they implement the plan according to this 202 page document. So this is an interesting thing that they're trying to do. This motion that I have is to send this letter to the city council, and it supports the motion. So we can go through it quickly. They approved it overwhelmingly in 2035, calls for a network. It hasn't been implemented. Traffic fatalities have increased. Traffic has gotten worse. More deaths, more asthma, all that bad stuff. So be it therefore resolved that, one, we support the ballot initiative, but what we would really like to do is not have this even go to a ballot initiative and simply have the city council say, well, actually, we should just implement the mobility plan that we already passed in 2015 and haven't really been working on. So we really encourage them to just pass this initiative as a law. And we made that clear by adding a little bit of language here that we want them to just create an ordinance that aligns with this initiative. And that's the motion.
Great, thanks, Taylor. Do I have a second for the motion put forth by Taylor?
I second.
I'm sorry, who was that?
Grace.
Grace, thank you. Any questions, discussion, clarifications needed? Okay, hearing none.
Wait, I'm still writing though.
So the motion is to support this letter, which
Right.
in essence asks the city to make it good on their plans for mobility improvements or enhancements or plans on the streets that align with the mobility plan from 7 years ago as an alternative to that. So just do something.
Yeah, I know.
Do something, letter. Fine. And so we have a motion and a second. And I think we should call the question.
Okay, John,
Yes.
Lizzie?
Yes,
Lizzie?
yes, sir.
Sarah Lacy?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Teresa is also a yes. Kareen?
Yes.
Grace?
Yes.
Paula?
Yes.
Sarah Long Henry?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Charlie?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Raheem?
No,
Raheem, you're a no?
correct.
Dolores? Dolores? Dorit?
Yes.
Jasmine?
Abstain.
Great. Thanks, Taylor, for all your work on the new committee and having some actions here. Laura, for our final thing in planning zoning, any updates on past cases?
Laura, don't really, I'm sorry, Raheem says keep facing the camera so my voice is heard. I don't have any updates. I'm not sure if, Teresa, did you want, I mean, should we, no. Other than to say that the promised oil drilling hearing on Murphy drill site keeps getting put off by the planning department. There has been, and I think we have it in our agenda, in the agenda packet for the planning committee, January 19th, I believe. Anyway, we have updated letters from the zoning administrator. I will send you guys the link, and the response by the operator of the Murphy drill site to the questions posed to the oil drilling site operator about some of the conditions at the site. So the hearing will not be in February, maybe in March, maybe after that. Our tentative plan, John, if I'm correct, we're still going to bring the Murphy folks back on the next planning and zoning committee and try and make our decision / recommendation at that point and bring it to the board in March. That's the current plan.
Great. Thanks, Laura. Okay, no other cases. That's the end of the planning and zoning committee reports.
Okay. So the next item on the agenda is our committee reports and updates. A couple are called out, and then the other committees, if there are any, to do it. So Lizzie, did you want to be a host and share the screen? Do you want me to share the screen while you explain what's going on with your letter? The Slow Streets Ad Hoc Committee update.
I think it's okay. It's late, so I don't want to take too much.
Okay, which? You share the screen or me share the screen?
No, I don't want to share any screen. I hope that my colleagues have read the letter, and if not, I'll just give a brief summary of what the content of the letter is. So basically, we have been in Jefferson Park. Jefferson Park, sponsored by the UNNC, was awarded to be part of the Slow Streets program. So some of the streets, the residential streets in our neighborhood were provided with barriers, A-frames, signs, so that right after the pandemic, we could have we could enjoy spending time outdoors with our families. People could ride a bike or a scooter, etc. after a certain period of time, the LAPD decided to phase that out. So there's no more, they're not replacing the signs, they're not replacing the barriers. So instead, they said, we will go into phase 2, we will implement permanent infrastructure, a set of signs, median ways, roundabouts on certain intersections. So what has been happening, they had promised to install those by mid-2021. There's been months and months of them saying, okay, maybe we'll do it in October, we'll do it in December. We had a community meeting sometime in the summer, and where the plans were presented to us, it was approved, it's fully funded already. Still, we don't have anything. What's going on? They say that the project, as things have started opening up, they have moved on to other projects, and the Slow Streets program has been moved to another division where we're now lower in their priority list. And what has been the consequence of that is that our streets are unsafe. We have had a string of hit and run crimes. In January alone, it was so significant that the LAPD convened a press conference where they announced rewards for 3 hit and run crimes. One, and so unfortunate, involved a death of one of the victims the day before the press conference. So we have been talking to them, especially to the Slow Streets liaison, who has definitely not committed to a timeline for implementation, and we are just fed up with their dismissal, and enough is enough. We need to go higher, and even, I don't know, reach out to the media, because this is just ridiculous. And each day that passes by, there's gonna be another victim, somebody being hit by a speeding car. So we ask the board to please support this letter, which will be sent to City 10's Chief of Staff and other organizations that have been supporting other, traffic calming advocacy organizations that can help us to put pressure on the LADOT to implement the Slow Streets phase 2. And we had one of the victims who happened to be hit on one of the slow streets was here earlier, but she apologized. She wanted to speak up and share her experience, but she's no longer with us. She had to go to bed. So, but I would like to know if any other of our neighbors maybe who live in Jefferson Park would like to share.
Lizzie, first, what I'd like to do is the motion. And what I've scribbled is move to adopt the letter to CD10 Chief of Staff and other organizations to advocate to implement phase 2 slow streets. Is that good enough?
Yes.
Moved by you?
Sure.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
I've lost it. Was that Dorit?
Yep.
Okay, now we can start discussion. And I see that Audrey Arlington has her hand up.
Yes, thank you. I live in Jefferson Park, and in addition to these fairly well-publicized horrible incidents that Lizzie described, that actually got the police department to come out and do a big press release about it. There are hazards and incidents that go unreported that don't get that level of publicity because the situation is so bad. I personally, a couple of months ago, witnessed a woman down on the ground being helped by the fire department at the end of my block on St. Andrews and 31st Street who'd been hit by a car. This kind of thing or near misses go on all the time. And I would like to urge the board to please approve sending this letter because LADOT really does need a little goose. I can't impress upon you the need for urgency, conveying a sense of urgency to them because the situation really is bad. I don't know why it's bad in Jefferson Park. I'm sure other neighborhoods have their traffic issues, but you take your life into your hands to walk around at this point. And for many of us, you know, just walking in the neighborhood is the only exercise we're getting any longer. Also too, there's been some discussion about the design that LADOT uses for these. I would urge you to urge LADOT to do their installations as soon as possible and to not allow anything to delay it any further. Thank you.
Is there any other commentary, questions?
I would really like to hear from our board members who live in Jefferson Park.
Okay, John's got his hand up.
I agree with everything Audrey said. Thank you.
Yes, can we just call?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to hear from everybody too, Lizzie, but it's also 10:20.
Let's vote.
Okay.
Yes.
We're ready to vote, everyone?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Jasmine?
Yes.
Dorit?
Yes.
Dolores? Raheem?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Charlie?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Sarah Long Henry?
Yes.
Sarah? Oh, thank you. Paula?
Yes.
Grace?
Yes.
Kareen?
Yes.
Teresa's also a yes. Michael?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Sarah Lacey?
Yes.
Lizzie?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay. So the next item, 15B, Recreation and Parks Committee, I am just going to go ahead and make this a quick presentation. Let me know when you can see the screen. Basically, the Washington Irving Pocket Park was presented to look like what I hope you can see the screen like this, with an art designed fence surrounding it. And not too long ago, there have been a lot of construction delays, but not too long ago, the fence went up and instead it looks, I have to go do like that, just black, just black rails. So I'm going to stop the share so you can see what the issue is. The fence did not match the design or the materials of the fencing that was presented to the community, including this body. So the Recreation and Parks Committee wants the governing board to write a letter. We haven't yet written a letter to propose that we advocate and write a letter to support the construction of the fence as originally designed, and to urge city decision makers that they potentially identify other funding sources to make it so. In the meantime, a bid for the city CD10 staff has said, no, you have to do the fence as designed. Tell us what the price is. So City Recreation and Parks submitted a bid a couple days ago for essentially $100,000, or in other words, $300 per linear foot of the fence. Yes, exactly. But it sounds like CD10 is still committed to finding the funding. Raheem, I don't know if you want to weigh in on this or not. because I know you've been on these emails as well. So I just don't know, do you have anything to add?
Nope. I mean, yeah, I mean, the last email I think CD10 is trying to figure out how to cover the shortfall.
Right. And I don't know that we, UNNC at this meeting needs to help give advice on to quote, how to cover the shortfall. Although I would ask, I think city officials, there is a pot of money for 1% for art was thrown into, set aside for all projects that were in the mid-city recovery redevelopment plan. And this park is in that redevelopment plan. So one would think this could tap those art monies, but I don't know that we need to say that in a letter so much as just write a letter that says, build it the way it was promised. Michael, then Dorit.
Oh my goodness, where to start with something like this? How does it get done in the first place? I mean, aren't the specifications based on what the drawings show? And if not, then whoever put up the wrong fence should be required to make it right, not us.
Well, yeah, we're not going to make it right. We're not being asked for money.
Well,
That's what he's
somebody's
talking
contributing money. I just heard that the council district is trying to make this right with whomever made it wrong at our expense, our taxpayer money. We're spending money twice on a fence that was put in wrong in the first place. That's fundamentally wrong.
Yeah. That'd be a good addition to the letter if we did vote to write out the letter. Dorit.
Has the city given a reason as to why the wrong fence was put up?
Yeah, the
Is it-
right fence is too expensive.
So that was the sole reason they gave.
It was,
That's a stupid reason, but that's the sole reason they gave. It wasn't like for safety or something.
no,
Okay, thank
it
you.
was a money thing. Sandra?
So the community had really no input into the design or the fencing. No one was overseeing the project from our community or that area at all. It just kind of, I know Denise started it when she was on the board. And after that, there was no more committee meetings or no more, and being in contact with Rexon Park. Teresa, do you know?
There was a lot of input at the time of design, but then with COVID, everything came to a halt and they suddenly kind of were on and off doing construction. And then one day, it's on Denise's block. She woke up and it's like, there's this fence. That was not what was in the plans. And that's why CD10 is mad too, because the plans are the plans and this wasn't it.
Okay.
Laura, one more question.
I think my hand was up before. I'm going to
Sorry,
say
go
that
ahead.
even at the last Rec and Parks meeting that I had, we still had the Rec and Parks saying this is the fence we're going to have and giving the same rendering, and that was what, December?
December-ish, yeah.
It was December, so yeah, we were keeping track of it, Sandra. We were paying attention. It happened in the middle of the night, I guess.
Yeah, Michael.
So what I'm understanding is someone made a decision to, the term would be value engineer the cost of the fence down to what they put in, thereby creating some kind of savings. And now they're asking the district to augment the cost of the fence that was shown to make it right.
Yeah, and not only that, they really actually used the phrase value engineering. In the email to Denise, the Recreation Parks guy said we value engineered it. So there must be something about what you do for a living that's similar to what he does for a living.
Yeah, it sounds like the cost of the materials were more than the line item called for. Let's say that, when they started the project, they allocated $100,000 for the fence. But when the time came to make the order to get it installed, the cost had escalated to $140,000. So they were stuck with a $100,000 line item. So they had to bring down the quality to meet what the budget number called for. That happens.
Well, it may happen. And I guess what I want to try to explain just a little better, whatever happened, it happened behind closed doors, and it did not happen with either the council office the Arlington Heights Neighborhood Association, UNNC, but we're maybe not the most important players here. But without anybody knowing except internally at the department, and maybe not even in the leadership of the department so much as in the planning section of Recreation and Parks. So for us, wait, let me just say, for us at 10:30, the only question is the motion to ask us to write a letter to advocate and support the construction of the fence as originally designed. Is that something we can do as a governing board? Obviously, we don't have a letter to approve, so the letter itself would have to be drafted and approved by executive committee. That would be the motion. And do we have support for that?
Okay, last comment. This is not something we're going to solve tonight. The fence is already in place, and it sounds like they took advantage of our vacuum of authority in the district to make this happen. We're in a tough situation.
Yes. But does that mean we should not act? So
No,
again.
it doesn't mean, no, I agree. I think we should act, but the lateness of the hour precludes us trying to make a decision and drafting something this evening. I say we kick this can down the road.
Well, I would prefer personally, and noting I'm not the chair of Recreation and Parks. We had, and Teresa's hand is up, so I'll call on her in a second. And Paula, we just convened the meeting on the usual night. Our chair was ill. So I'm just presenting on behalf of the committee, but then why don't we say Paula, then Teresa?
Okay, so what you're asking is that we make a motion to draft a letter. Is that correct?
To be approved by executive committee.
Yes, and we can certainly do that tonight, and I make that motion.
I second it.
Okay. And Teresa, you still have your hand up, I know.
No, I just lowered it.
Okay, so that's the motion. Oh, to be approved by executive committee. Via email?
Sure.
Versus waiting for another couple of weeks. Okay, so that's the motion. Is there any other discussion, or maybe we call the question?
Call the question.
Thank you.
Okay. Jasmine?
Still here?
Is Jasmine still here?
Yeah. Sorry, I thought we were
Marie?
calling the question roll.
I'm sorry. What did Jasmine say?
Yes.
I think yes.
Oh, okay, thank you. Dorit?
Yes.
Dolores?
Yes.
Raheem?
Yeah.
Taylor?
Yes.
Charlie?
Yes.
I believe Paul has left. Laura?
Yes.
Sarah Long Henry?
Yes.
Paula?
Yes.
Grace?
Yes.
Kareen?
Yes.
Teresa is also a yes. Michael?
Abstain.
Greg?
Yes.
Sarah Lacey?
Yes.
Lizzie?
Yes.
And John?
Yes.
I'm sorry, have we heard from Dolores?
Yeah.
Yes.
She's there? Okay.
Yes. Okay, are there any other committee updates? I mean, I know we've heard from several committees during the course of tonight. Okay, hearing none. President's report. The
Public safety.
Oh,
and
I'm sorry, go ahead.
The Public Safety and Emergency Preparedness Committee has met. We've got people who are interested in being more active, and we're meeting up with Chen, can't pronounce his last name, who's, heading up CERT. So we'll make sure that I need to get in touch with Taylor so that we're all on the same page. And Lizzie and I have already talked about getting together so that we're all on the same page as far as the other committees are concerned. So that's an update, and we'll have more to report once Dennis is back from his vacation.
Right. You are holding your meeting on the usual night, even though it's Valentine's Day? Yes. Okay. Any other committee reports? Okay, then I really am moving on. President's report. So there's two things. One, I was asked to, I will make this quick, discuss area rep duties and responsibilities. And it's not really a discussion, it's more of a reminder. So area reps, so that means if you represent area 1 or 5, it doesn't matter. You should be making an attempt to go to any block club or neighborhood meetings that exist in a pandemic. And as well, when you see committee agenda items from the various committees that affect your geography, you should at least try to go to those meetings as well, since you're representing the residents in that area. And similarly, if you're an at-large member, the expectation is that you participate in at least one standing committee regularly. And of course, attend the board meetings. And that would be that. The homeless count, the material, the presentation with some ways to sign up is in the agenda packet, but the homeless count itself was delayed from January to the 4th Thursday in February. And our location, if you're going to sign up, is not Holman Church, but rather it's in Exposition Park. And most important is they really hope you sign up as part of a team of at least 3 people, because there's going to be a drive-through and in a car. So they want you to have, best would be to have preset teams, and then they'll give you a grid to cover for the homeless count. And we probably will have a homelessness liaison committee meeting on the 3rd Thursday of February to talk more in detail. Okay, that is my president's report. Great.
Madam President.
Yes.
I posted a link for an article that was shared with me about how our board president, council president, is working to give CD10 a voice. So that is a very interesting article that one of our esteemed fellow board members shared with me, but I want to share that with everyone. So that's posted.
I see it. Okay. I wish it wasn't 10:38 because I'd love more information, but everybody read that, please. Greg, I was just going to turn back to you because I sort of missed it. Do we need to do any budget readjustments, or were the funding things we did within the broad budget already?
No, we do need to do budget adjustments.
Okay, well, you're on.
Okay, stand by. Let me go to it. Okay, share screen.
Because weren't we just, isn't it event 1,000 for an event if ever we can?
No, this is what we need to do is, okay, so in order to support the work, there's $6,000 additional dollars for the outreach and communication items. We need to transfer some funds to that area. And so the money that I'm suggesting that the budget adjustment will be here. This is the overall budget setup. We have $6,000 put on community improvement projects. We have done none of those. So the budget adjustment will be transferring this $6,000. It will go into a subcategory of the general operation expense Specifically, it would go to outreach expenditure category. We do have $5,000 in event expense. But then this $6,000 would go to on the line for advertising, where we buy bags, pens, magnets. Since that's the type of thing that they're working on with the communication outreach project. So the proposal, the budget adjustment would be to move $6,000 from the community improvement project to the general operating expense, and specifically to the outreach expenditure category. Questions? Well, that was the motion. That is the motion.
Okay. So motion to move 6,000 from community improvement to outreach.
Right. Well, general operating expenditure, then the subcategory will be outreach expenditure category. Here, I'll type it.
I'm typing, it's okay. I'm sorry. I am typing, but I lost one word.
And Sandra had a question also. I'm not sure if that was.
Okay, yes, from community improvement to general something, administration?
Yes.
Outreach, and the
operating
outreach, I got it. Outreach subcategory.
Right.
Okay, moved. by Greg, is there a second? Hi, Laura. Laura. Okay, are there any questions, comments, or shall we just, so.
Okay,
Let's
if
vote.
there aren't any questions? Okay. John,
Yes.
Lizzie. Lizzie? Oh, Lizzie is a yes. Sarah Lacy,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Teresa is also a yes. Corinne,
Yes.
Grace,
Yes.
Paula,
Yes.
Sarah Long Henry,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
I believe Paul stepped out. Charlie. Yes. Taylor,
Yes.
Raheem,
Yep.
Dolores. Dolores?
Oh, she's here.
Yes.
Dorit?
Yes.
You're a yes, Dolores?
Yes.
Dorit, I think she's left. Jasmine.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have one more item, one more vote, and that would be the minutes. Teresa.
Okay. Can everybody see that?
Yep.
Okay. These are the minutes from our last board meeting. I'm just going to scroll slowly. They were also posted in the agenda packet. And we are now required to append the Zoom chat notes. So these are all the chats, the comments that were in the chats. Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
Make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I second Lizzie.
And we approve by raising of our hands. So if we could see everyone's hands, virtual or Dolores?
Where's my face?
Okay. Actually, was Dolores at that meeting? Oh, no, it was executive she missed. Okay. I
No,
think-
actually, she missed that meeting.
Oh, okay, so never
Right,
mind.
because
So-
Dolores, that's when you came back, the day you came back from wherever.
Okay, if everybody could lower their hands, and if there's anybody who does not want to approve the minutes?
Oh, I can't vote. I wasn't there.
No, okay. Okay, then the minutes are approved by raising of hands. Thank you.
Okay, so we are adjourned. Oh,
Good night.
Shalom.
Everybody.
Good night, everyone.
And
Night,
yes,
everyone.
thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Good night, Pilgrims.
All right, thank you.
Thank you,
Rest-
everyone.
Rest well. Sweet dreams.
Where's Luna? I want to see Luna, please.
Luna.
Oh, boy.
I
Oh,
know.
look at what day-
10:46 or-
Have you
Oh, what
noticed
happened
how
to you?
the certain mister who thinks it's time?
Oh God, you're somebody.
Oh,
Luna. Luna's upstairs.
you're in the dark.
Okay,
Bye.
goodbye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Luna's upstairs. All right.
Okay, okay.